or 65 years and older. Web Threat Shield detects and blocks malicious malware which can sleep in your computer for years. Does advanced monitoring on the dark web so that if your material is already there, if your identity is already for sale, they'll let you know. You need WebRoot. And right now you'll get it for 50% off. Whether you buy the big package, WebRoot Total Protection, or whether you buy the smaller package, WebRoot Essentials, you'll get 50% off now at webroot.com/Hewitt. Let me close the hour by reminding you yesterday was the second anniversary of 10/7. There is optimism coming out of the Middle East about getting the living hostages out. Knock on wood and say a lot of prayers. In the meantime, please support the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. The IFCJ will be there for the families of the hostages. They'll be there for the people who are hungry. They'll be there for the people who lost their businesses because they've been called up 5 or 6 times as a result of the long war for Israel, the longest war in Israel's history. You can make a contribution to the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews on the ground in Israel right now by calling 800-492-1717. 800-492-1717, or go to the banner for the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. It's at the top of hughhewitt.com. Thank you for your contribution. It's tax deductible. Please remember as well, visit my YouTube site and like and subscribe it to get all the senators, all the congressmen, all the important news-making interviews that I do.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Kamala Harris on her swearing tour. She's like a Madison Avenue street whore, the way she talks. It's wonderful to watch. J.B. Pritzker made the big time. His big Buffalo heads on Drudge Report and everything else. It's fantastic. But what's the real cost of having Democrats in charge of anything? Anybody looking at real estate in Chicago? I know it's supposed to be the Gold Coast and downtown. But are you looking at the actual real estate prices under these thieves and these crooks? Corruption is very expensive if you're not in on it. We'll discuss that and much more after news.
Good afternoon. 61 degrees in Chicago. The AM 560 newsroom on AM 560, The Answer. Nice afternoon for baseball. Breezy with a lot of sunshine for the most part. Overnight lows around 50. And then tomorrow, sunny with a temperature in the lower 60s for a high. Criminal charges dropped by the Department of Justice against 3 people arrested late last month, linked to protest outside the ICE facility in West Suburban Broadview. The defendants are Jocelyn Robledo, Ray Collins, and Hubert Mazur. Collins and Robledo were found to be carrying loaded firearms, but were lawfully permitted to carry. The dismissal, granted without prejudice, that does allow the government 30 days to refile charges. Detectives are investigating after a child was gunned down on the south side. The crime happened this morning in an alley near the 6,000 block of South Prairie Avenue. The victim had a gunshot wound to the chest, pronounced dead at the scene. A West Suburban Naperville man is convicted of beating his wife to death 5 years ago. Alan Wang was found guilty today of first-degree murder after a 4-day trial. Prosecutors say the defendant killed his spouse in March 2020. Wang expected to return to court next month for post-trial motions and return of the pre-sentencing report. News as a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back with a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO and FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, sponsored by Access One Business IT Services and Support.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks ending mixed, but the Nasdaq and S&P 500 notch record closes as investors digested the minutes from the Fed's latest monetary policy meeting in September. Fed officials are increasingly at odds over the path forward for interest rates, but the majority think that further rate cuts will be necessary this year. In the meantime, gold continues its record-breaking rally, rising above $4,070 a troy ounce. Advanced Micro Devices stock continues to climb, jumping over 10% today after rising nearly 4% on Tuesday on news that AMD was partnering with ChatGPT maker OpenAI on a massive chip deal. The Dow winners, Apple, United Health, and Caterpillar. The Dow decliners, IBM, Goldman Sachs, and American Express. The Dow down a point, the Nasdaq higher by 255, S&P 500 up 39. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Scott Jennings is safe from left-wing lunacy.
Marking myself safe from that nut, Keith Olbermann, the poster boy for left-wing outrage, the poster boy for complete broken brain progressivism, threatening me, of all people. Unbelievable. But we're safe.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Cold weather will be here before you know it. And you know what I realized the other day? The power usually goes out when it gets really, really cold, especially in Texas for some reason. And Americans have no way to keep their families warm. Isn't that nuts? People freeze in today's world. Then I heard about the Vesta off-grid space heater from the great people at My Patriot Supply. Now, this is a space heater that doesn't use electricity. It runs on something called canned heat, which is an indoor-safe fuel. The Vesta, if it's stored in your closet, you know you can keep warm no matter what. And it doubles as a stove to boil water or cook food, which is pretty cool. Now, the best part is you can get a Vesta and a bunch of other free gifts when you order the Winter Prep Special from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn right now and see everything included. The offer's not going to last long, and neither will this nice fall weather. So go to mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn today. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
The Kennedy, 45 minutes downtown out to the airport. And the outbound Eisenhower, 1 hour post office to 390 stall in the left lane at Pulaski. On the outbound Stevenson, 50 minutes to Sabo Lakeshore Drive to 355. Outbound Dan Ryan, 45 with a crash at the Skyway. That is blocking the left lane and a stall on the off-ramp to Pershing as well. DuSable Lakeshore Drive is heavy in both directions. Tri-State North at Ridgeland, there's an accident in the left lane. And we're starting to see delays fill in along the other tollways as well. Traffic is a service of Turnkey. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. For a limited time, Turnkey is offering all new customers their first month of service free, including Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, data backup, plus 24/7 help desk support. Visit turnkey.pro today. From the AM 560 The Answer Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, expect clear skies with a low of 48. Thursday will bring abundant sunshine and a high of 65. Thursday night will be mainly clear with a low of 47. On Friday, anticipate some sun followed by increasing clouds, reaching a high of 68. Saturday is set to have plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of The Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. Get top dollar for guns and military items. DonleyAuctions.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government with a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other. He's Shaun Thompson, and this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wait.
So far behind, they think they're in the lead. It's always the case when you're talking about a scumbag, low-life Democrat. But J.B. Pritzker, it's good that only your head is on the Drudge Report and all of your shots are from your nipples up. Because if anybody took a look at that physique you got rocking, nobody could ever take you seriously again. I mean, you got your MC Hammer pants where your crotch is 7 inches off your shoes, and you still pretend to be a tough guy.
Look, he's a coward. He says a lot of things to the camera. He likes to pretend to be a tough guy. Come and get me. Come and get me.
You do realize there's not anybody in that shot behind you. There's not anybody throwing out garbage in the buildings behind you. There's not anybody on a job site. There's nobody in the city that cannot kick your ass. You do realize how you really look to people, don't you? I mean, it's amazing. I know that for your entire life, not only are you the picture of gluttony, but you've only been surrounded by slaves who are hired to serve you and suck on and somebody who wants something from you. But among real people, you're not actually a man. You know that, right?
What we're talking about is authoritarianism. We could have talked about Pol Pot. We could have talked about authoritarians across history. I chose something I know very well. I helped to build a Holocaust museum. And what I know is
stroking a check from your trust fund. You didn't build anything. You've never built anything. And it's hard to take somebody who the last time they saw their genitals was a baby picture that their mother showed them. You're not an actual man, brother. So stop acting like it. You're embarrassing yourself. And now everybody's starting to laugh at you, even the Canadians.
The Democrats have no leader. They remind me of Somalia, okay? You know? And I met
it's
the
McCarthy.
president.
It's a Canadian laughing at your big fat ass. Because you're obviously the only one that doesn't know. Not only aren't you a man, but your city and your state, it's a punchline. An absolute punchline.
President Trump this morning called for you, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, to be jailed for, quote, failing to protect ICE officers. What is your response?
Well, first of all, this president is unstable, unhinged, a double-minded individual that, quite frankly, is a threat to our democracy. And it's certainly not the first time that Donald Trump has called for the arresting of a black man unjustly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay firm as the mayor of this amazing city, which was voted 9 years in a row the best big city in America.
And that's because of corruption. Pritzker money corruption mainly. But not only don't Pritzker's wife and kids live in Chicago or in Illinois for that matter, very few people do who can get out. Now, the people who are trapped, they're getting their ass kicked financially. And this is why, I have to tell you, I never could stand Chicago real estate brokers. They were always the scum of the earth to me. Always lying through their fracking teeth about demand and value and the rest of it. So I took it upon myself today to see the real cost of corruption in our once great city, now a ghetto, the city of iniquity. And it's amazing when you talk about just money. This isn't opinion. This isn't me going over the decades of corruption from that moron family, the Dailies, and Mike Madigan and his dog daughter, Ed Burke, or pick a 50 thief alderman. This is not just me telling you it's a mafia-run community. These are numbers. I like numbers. You like numbers? Me too. 2008, the average value, median value of a condo, And what I did in this is I included the Gold Coast, North Side. Everybody knows you are not going to the South Side. You go south of LaSalle Street, forget about it. I mean Monroe Street, forget about it. It's all garbage. Everybody knows that. I know that the South Side was supposed to really be up and coming. Yeah, that's what the Marx Brothers thought, too, in 1912. I'm talking about the North Side, from the Gold Coast up, $390,000 in 2008. 2008, that's a long time ago. You know what it is today? $415,000. Now, a swindler would tell you, well, that you pretty much broke even. No. When you inflationally adjust $390,000 in 2008, you know what that number is? $570,570. So every condo, Gold Coast and the rest of it, you lost 27.27% if I use just these numbers. Now, that's not specific. If you really stepped up, like Ken Griffin, and you really bought a lamb chop, well, now you really took it on the chin. You got the Buddha gig on that one. You got your ass handed to you, which is why Ken Griffin took his entire company out of the state, and so many others. It's not just Boeing who had the taxes. The cost of the ordinary Chicagoan of corruption is staggering. That's 30% in real estate. Now do commercial. You want to do commercial? Because there you're talking about 60%. And when you talk about businesses, and I went to 2008, 2013 to now, 70% of open businesses, retail businesses, other businesses, gone. And now you're going to act like it's a 9%. It's because you own the publication. You influence, you buy and bribe. That's what J.B. Pritzker is really known for. No one thinks he's a man. No one thinks he built the Nazi Holocaust Museum. You stroke the check, you fat pig. That's all you can ever do. When it comes to actually running on what you do, you lie. It's all you've ever done. Lie and bribe.
What kind of a country are we living in where the President of the United States is targeting his political opponents?
We're living in the kind of country where that Chicago Democrat mafia, since the dailies, since people thought that Richard J. was a lawyer and could fracking read, let alone that the father was anything other than a $2 gangster. All that time, which it did, is you took that corruption with Barack Obama and you exported it. And now the other dirty little secret is we've now got the paperwork to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt the Obama administration was treasonous.
So it's about, if you look closely, this is to be non-disseminated. It's intel information and reactions of redacted Ukrainian government officials to the early December visit of senior United States government official. Who is that senior United States government official? As of mid-December 2015, officials within the administration of Ukrainian President Poroshenko expressed bewilderment and disappointment at the 7 to 8 December 2015 visit of the Vice President of the United States to Kyiv, Ukraine. Folks.
Now, the reason that I play that cut and I mentioned Pritzker, it's because his sister was tapped from the Biden administration to be in charge of the Ukraine rebuild. It's because that family is interwoven with corruption for generations. The name Pritzker is a mafia name and nothing more. So I personally like this attention because in Chicago, you're used to it. Everybody wants in on the scam, right? Everybody wants that phony job where you get to drive around in a truck and wait for somebody to catch you not working. And you retire with a pension that means nothing and makes no sense because it's based on loyalty to the organized crime syndicate of the Chicago Democrats. Everybody wants it. I understand that. But outside, you're a punchline. An absolute punchline, and the people will not tolerate it.
These are not hacks or, I don't know what people have an image of, but I can tell you these are excellent, excellent police officers. We deploy.
Which ones? Which ones? The thousands that have been caught with their hand in the cookie jar have been caught working with crimes? Or is it just the hundreds that have been behind your house, in front of your house, Ed Burke, Mike Madigan, the dailies? Which one? Because that's the real skinny about Chicago. And it has been that way for decades. In fact, since 1960, when everybody in that city bragged of how you single-handedly stole the election for Kennedy. You bragged about it. You laughed about it. You snickered about it. Now you're worried about voter fraud? The voter fraud in this country has always been perpetrated by scum. The voter fraud in this country has always not only thrived in Chicago, but every Democrat enclave.
They think they can get people used to the idea. And next year, I fear that what they're going to do is deploy these folks eventually to polling places and say they're protecting the vote. Donald Trump knows that without shenanigans and with...
You stole elections throughout time of Chicago, throughout time of Illinois. That's what you're known for. And it's not just you. It could be the ones in Maine. The Maine in the state of Maine, there's a scandal afoot to some extent. And that is the same scandal we've caught for years and decades and generations. And that is that ballots were sent through Amazon. And through Amazon, 250 ballots were found. Here.
On Tuesday, the city of Ellsworth received 2 boxes of absentee ballots, as planned. One of those boxes did not contain 5 packets of ballots totaling 250 ballots. They were missing. The Ellsworth clerk's office did exactly what we always instruct clerks to do. They notified the elections division of...
That's not true, but that's a Democrat. Here's the real story.
An investigation is underway tonight after a Newburgh woman says blank ballots were delivered to her house.
She says she found these state ballots inside an Amazon package. This comes, of course, as Mainers is getting ready to vote on question 1, which would require voter ID and also make other changes to Maine's elections.
So Maine isn't half as corrupt as Illinois. Not half. Maine has a chance to pull its head out of its derriere. And this is why they will be flooded with phony ballots the way so many Democrat enclaves from Arizona to states that mattered. Doesn't matter in ours. Doesn't matter. You'll vote for this fat pig and every other Democrat till the end of time. But in decent states that aren't fully bad, this is what happened. The ballots came from China. They went to strategic Democrat areas, and the scum filled it out and stole an election like Chicago has been bragging about since 1960. So I want to let you know the difference is character. Now, some people may say, oh, it's about the issues. No, it's not. Because what I did when I talked about the condos in Chicago, I can do in every Democrat area. In every Democrat area, it's the same fracking story. Because we're in the cul-de-sac of the road to serfdom right now. But what I like to focus on for a little while is the character of these politician scum. It's truly staggering. Now, when we talk about this guy, Jay Jones, and the text messages, I'm going to kill him, I want his wife to hold the baby. That's fine. That's how they really think. If you've ever met a rat Democrat, that's what they talk like in private. And, I could play clips of Chuck Schumer swearing and all the rest of them all trying to be men and women of, threatening violence so they think it makes them appeal to the working man. It doesn't. It makes it repulsive. But I want to show you the legacy of corruption that exists in these Democrat mafia-controlled areas. And this is why Jay Jones doesn't have to step aside. He may. It doesn't matter. They'll fill it with another Democrat, and they'll vote for the Democrat. But this is why they like this kind of corruption.
If you were caught driving 46 miles an hour over the speed limit in Virginia, would you expect to face jail time or at the very least have your driver's license suspended or your driving privileges restricted? Those are the consequences many drivers in Virginia have had to face, but not Jay Jones. 7 News reviewed a dozen reckless driving cases in New Kent County, Virginia, where Jay Jones was convicted of reckless driving in 2022 for driving 116 miles an hour. Court records show one man was found guilty of driving 115 miles per hour and a 70 in New Kent County. He got 10 days in jail. His license was suspended for 6 months. He was fined $2,000. And once he got his license back, he could only drive to and from work. On the same day Jones received his sentence, a Woodbridge man was sentenced to 30 days in jail for driving 115 miles an hour in a 70. His sentence was suspended as long as he didn't speed again. The Woodbridge man's license was suspended for 6 months, then restricted, and he was fined $1,500. Another man was found guilty of reckless driving for driving 104 and a 70 in New Kent County. That earned him 20 days in jail, a 6-month license suspension, and a $1,250 fine. Jones, a former Virginia lawmaker, served no jail time for driving 116 miles an hour and a 70 on Interstate 64. He paid a $1,500 fine. His driving privileges were not impacted, and he got 1,000 hours of community service.
Sure he did.
The Richmond Times-Dispatch reports Jones completed those 1,000 hours, equal to 25 weeks of full-time work in just 1 year. Half of those hours were put in working for his own political action committee, called Meet Our Moment. 7 News confirms the PAC is registered with the Virginia Board of Elections and is not a nonprofit charitable organization. And the person who provided confirmation Jones put in 500 hours of community service at the PAC was one of his own employees.
That's what they like. You like that clout. You want to get away with that skullduggery. That's why these Democrat enclaves are hopeless. It isn't the reality of the cost of the destruction of value of assets, whether it's real estate or money. It's that they would sell it for this kind of corruption so that everybody in Chicago who will vote Democrat, whether it's Brandon Johnson or this fat slob Pritzker or a pickle jar, you just want to feel like you're in on it. And that's why it's a case of character. The Democrats have none. They are these kind of people. They aren't worth trying to negotiate with. They're only going to drag everybody down. And we'll cover Obamacare, and I'll take your calls when I get back.
He will never negotiate his constitutional rights with the government. Live free or die on the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 17 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
Hi, this is Shaun Thompson. When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Alpha Wealth Group, Tom Fortino understands the nuts and bolts of retirement planning. The investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and much more. But think about it. What are you really trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P, or is your goal to make memories with your family? At Alpha Wealth Group, their goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group to learn more. You can do it today. Call 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. To schedule a no-obligation consultation. You can do it today online as well at alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Networks, streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. But where did the concept originate? We may be biased, but we think these big wigs found their inspiration for plus at Hassellus Mattress. Hassellus showrooms are employee-free. Give your mattress a try with no pushy sales guy. Plus, our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Plus, unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic. Plus, free next-day delivery and setup. Plus, free haul away and disposal of your old mattress. Plus, 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit. Plus, a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Plus, a ruggedly handsome spokesman with a smooth radio voice. Get all this, plus a whole lot more when you shop at Hassellus Mattress. Or maybe we should change our name to Hassellus Plus. Nah. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at hassellus.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
And to show you how the Democrats have no standards whatsoever, A legendary second-generation piece of dung scumbag is running for Congress.
And I've chosen this day to make a special announcement. The 84th birthday of a man who inspired my life to public service.
Still late on his alimony for knocking up a waitress in California. Has he paid for that kid once?
A man who blessed me with his name. In 1984, entering business school.
Jesse Jackson Jr. is running for office again. This morning, he announced his candidacy to represent Illinois' 2nd Congressional District.
And what I like about these convicted felons that run for office again and again and again, is they won't stop one welfare roach, whether they're welfare roaches because they can't pay their own rent or because they want some fraudulent government contract. They will support this scumbag.
Tell you, Wolf, that it's all but certain that prison is going to be in Jesse Jackson's near future. Now, it could be 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. And it was a really somber mood inside that courtroom. Both Jesse Jackson Jr. and his wife, Sandy, pleading guilty today in separate hearings.
Guilty? You pled guilty? I love it. Run again, stupid.
They both cried a little bit in front of the judge.
Oh, you're crying?
A judge who will decide
There's no crying
what
and
happens
crying.
next.
Crying?
Jesse Jackson Jr. arrived at the federal courthouse without speaking to reporters. Later, inside, Jackson told the federal judge, quote, "I used monies that should have been for campaign purposes."
Oh, come on. You're generationally on the take, scumbag. Peter Barrington.
Yeah, Sean, first of all, it's ridiculous that these people get a slap on the wrist for going 150 and a 70. But then when I do a rolling stop at 10 o'clock at night, I get hit with $240 fine in driving school. But
well, Peter, there's a way to circumvent that. You just become a scumbag Democrat. Get out of virtually anything. But go ahead.
Oh, Democrat. Yeah. What I wanted to tell you was over the weekend, I was driving home from my gym in Algonquin, and I was driving over the bridge on the Fox River, and I see there's a bunch of protesters there. And it made me feel really skinny looking at them.
Well, you just said something J.B. Pritzker has never said, coming home from my gym. Go ahead.
He doesn't even know what that is. Yeah. But they all hold up these signs like anti-Trump, anti-democracy. They aren't pro-immigration. They're just anti-ICE and anti-Trump because they would really, if they cared about these immigrants, they would be denouncing the slavery that goes on with them, how they're in the cornfields and picking crops for slave wages. If they really cared, they'd be denouncing that stuff.
Never lose sight. You always remember what you see is a distraction. Never lose sight of the real issue at hand. The real issue at hand is that they cannot afford their policies. This is all a distraction. They cannot afford their most basic policy of the Democrat mafia because it is a financial crime. Their schemes are financial crimes. So they have to make you feel like it's a political agenda and we're going to move forward. This is about stealing your money and your father's money, about destroying the value of your assets. Because what they want is equality through hopelessness and poverty, the way they live. And when I say they, I talk about Democrats. The most of them. The other part, they're even more deceptive. They're even more diabolical. And that's the pirates of the policy. That's why all the lawyers who live all up and down the North Shore all vote Democrat, give to the Democrats, tell people they're Democrats, because they make money off the scum. That's why they don't want anybody to look too deep in what Ed Burke and Mike Madigan really did. What they really do, aside from being thieves and mafia members. What they really do. Lawyers in the real estate business, right? Manipulating taxes. If you hire them, you don't pay what the pigeon next door pays. And that's why they're Democrats. So they're profiteers. They're the pirates of the Democrats. They're even worse, in my opinion, than the ass barnacle who's just got a crack habit and doesn't want to pay for cheese. Thank you for the call. 312-642-5600.
Call Sean now. 312-642-5600.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago immune support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again. Kills me that Bill Gates has such a foothold in our lives through this Windows organization that he stole the idea from another guy and then bought it and then pretended he invented it. But he does. And sooner or later, Windows 10, they will no longer be providing free updates, technical service, security fixes for your Windows 10 as in the previous versions. You have to take action right now, especially if you care about your customers' data, your employee data, your business data. That will all be vulnerable to hacking, and you don't want to deal with some former Soviet Union member named Peggy who's holding you out for Bitcoin. That can all be avoided at turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro, where they can help you prepare for the transition, ensuring a seamless move from 10 to 11. And you can ask about the readiness check today, but only if you go to turnkey.pro. Turnkey.pro, you do not want to be held hostage by Bill Gates or a former Soviet Union member named Peggy. When we get back, I'm going to go to the lines 312-642-5600 after news.
Thanks a lot. Good afternoon. It's Chicago, 61 degrees. The AM 560 newsroom on AM 560, The Answer. President Trump calling for retaliation against Governor Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson as they accuse him of abusing his power in an immigration crackdown.
President Trump on Truth Social calling for Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker to be jailed, accusing the two Democrats of failing to protect federal immigration officers amid recent violent attacks on agents. On X, Pritzker saying in part, "I'm not backing down." Johnson, "I'm not going anywhere," also telling us Tuesday.
The fact that he has declared war on the city of Chicago is disconcerting, to say the least.
That as legal action plays out over the deployment in suburban Chicago of the Texas National Guard and soon-to-be deployed Illinois Guard troops that the president has federalized. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Jesse Jackson Jr. is launching a bid for his old Illinois congressional seat. The son of the civil rights advocate has made his campaign announcement. Video he shared on his YouTube channel. Jackson represented the Plus S 2nd District from 1995 to 2012 before resigning after pleading guilty to misusing campaign funds. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back with a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. I'll have more news coming your way at 5 o'clock. Continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. On AM 560, let's head to the traffic center. Check the roads with Jill Check.
On the outbound Edens, you're good. The Kennedy going out 25 to Montrose 50 as you head out to the airport. And the outbound Eisenhower 45 to Wolf Road, 1 hour out to 390. Stevenson 50 minutes to Sabo Lakeshore Drive to 355. Dan Ryan 40 minutes out to 95th, and right at the Skyway there's an accident in the left lane. The express lanes are tight 33rd to 51st. The Skyway's open and 57 outbound tight from the Ryan down to 103rd. DuSable Lakeshore Drive is heavy either way. Tri-State busy both directions. Southbound a stall on the westbound 88 exit ramp. Eastbound Jane Addams at Rockton, an accident in the right lane. And pretty busy along the Reagan as well as 355. Also some tie-ups on 8094 westbound, accident at Chase in the right lane. From the AM 560 The Answer Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, expect clear skies with a low of 48. Tomorrow, abundant sunshine will prevail with a high of 65. Tomorrow night will be mainly clear with a low of 47. On Friday, anticipate some sun followed by increasing cloudiness, reaching a high of 68. Saturday is set to bring plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Hey Chicagoland, your trusted friend Jeff here from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Over the past few months, I've shared how our veteran-led team serves Chicagoland homeowners. Today, I want to share with you what your neighbors are saying about working with us. Like Mary in Downers Grove, who wrote, They listened to my concerns about moving from my home of 30 years and created a timeline that worked for me. Or Tom and Carol Stream, who said, their team helped me sort through 40 years of memories with respect and patience. This is why hundreds of your neighbors have given us a 5-star Google review and an A+ rating with the BBB. We don't just buy houses. We help people through life's transitions with understanding and care. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and always on your timeline. Ready to work with the home buying team your neighbors trust? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
The real representation by the Chicago Democrats is the representation of the cartels and the gangs and the drugs. It's really that simple. That's why Jesse Jackson Jr., when he shows up after doing a prison stint for stealing money, that's a resume booster. He's got his $3,000 glasses on, his hair all done up real pretty. His father's the reverend from the Church of Perpetual Tax Evasion, knocking up waitresses all over the country, never paying child support. This is the kind of scum that Chicago likes.
The seat is currently held by Robin Kelly, but she's running to replace retiring Senator Dick Durbin. Jackson Jr. held that seat from 1995 to 2012, but he resigned. He was convicted and sentenced to 30 months in federal prison after pleading guilty.
He's got some street cred. Hey, he really worked up who to represent, how to get that streak popping again, right? That's what Chicago's all about.
Taking the juggernaut that is demolishing the weaponization of law enforcement and bringing it to places like Chicago. When I was there today with Todd, we learned that the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members. That's right, you heard me right. They had 1,200 shootings this year alone, 360 homicides. When politicians choose to side with those metrics and not their citizenry, thank God we have President Trump and this Department of Justice and this FBI going in there.
Only for the decent. The scum. They're very, very disappointed. They paid these Democrats big money, good money, to just keep things the way they are. You get used to it, living low. George in Naperville.
Yes, Sean, fat, rich, and sweaty is no way to go through college, and it's no way to go through your terms as governor.
He's the picture of gluttony. To me, it's perfect. He's the perfect face of the Democrat mafia. He has money because he never worked for it. He's a sloth. And his thirst for power is insatiable. He is the perfect Buffalo head of the Democrat mafia. Glenn in Orlando.
Yeah, Sean, Chicago is collapsing. The post office is Walgreens is getting out of the old post office building in Chicago. They're leaving Chicago, going up to the north suburbs.
How many billions of money, taxpayer money, was scammed on that post office remodel? Is anybody in it now?
Oh, my God.
Is anybody in it?
I think it's going to be. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be completely empty by the time they all leave. So
that's one of the last jobs my father did in Chicagoland. He helped put those shocks in. It sits on the shocks. But they, my dad and all those guys, those are workers. They're not like these fat pig Democrats today. But yeah, go ahead.
So we're going to call it Acropolis.
Oh, you're never, dude. You're talking about CPS students. They can't do that. Just go with Chirac. Just go with Chirac, the city of iniquity. It'll take them. It'll take them 6 months to look up iniquity, and that's if they use that Chat GBT. Thank you very much, Ed Dyer.
Hi, how are you? It's been a long time.
I missed you.
I've been busy.
All right. Just so you're all right.
My question is, the government shut down, and they want something for health care, Medicaid, Medicare, this, that. But nobody will come up and say, the government won't say, that the government is totally exempt from Obamacare. But nobody will tell us what their program is and what they spend on health care.
Ed, do you know?
We have to subsidize everybody else's health care.
Obama's agreement with the labor extortion mafia, that's over with too. So now all the labor extortion mafia's got to jump into the pool of suckhood under Obamacare. But what they're trying to hide, Ed, is the cost of it. They hide it in a subsidy. And when Soiled Pants, who stole the election in 2020, Joe Biden, the most corrupt, treasonous president this country's ever had, when he was creating all of his bills about the Inflation Reduction Act, he hid more subsidies in there. So what they have to hide is the fact that not only did Obamacare drive out 50% of the hospitals, drive out the good doctors, the good nurses, but it also costs 400% more. That's what they can't afford to have happen. And by the way, the Republicans are going to cave on this. You mark my words. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
So now we're in a government shutdown. And you may be asking yourself, how the hell did we get here? Donald Trump and the Republican Party are hell-bent on taking health care away from 60.
This is a whole production. This is his video. He's another guy with the $3,000 glasses. Another butter-handed pansy. Couldn't do 5 push-ups if I told him I'll do 10 for every one you do. Just like Pritzker. Can't do a 1. Schmuck Schumer.
Million people. Closing community clinics, rural hospitals, nursing homes. All so they can keep giving tax breaks to their billionaire friends. It's a disgrace. So Democrats have 3 words for this. No way.
Whoa,
It's literally.
whoa. Careful. Somebody might think you're trying to impersonate a man again. Kamala Harris is way more convincing when she says it.
To have some level of concern and care, it's not just basic curiosity.
Yeah, they like when she swears, huh?
Because there's so much about this moment that is trying to make people feel like they've lost their mind. When in fact, these motherfuckers are crazy.
Yeah. Well, what do you expect? That mouth has licked the urinal at Wrigley. It'd be cleaner. Filthy pig. Rich, Indian Head Park.
Hey, Sean, how are you tonight?
A lot better than Kamala Harris's gynecologist. Whoa, that's a rough job.
Sean, you know they keep talking about they filed a lawsuit against Trump for bringing in the National Guard. Well, what I don't understand is they go to a judge that's probably a Trump hater. We know that. But how can he stop the National Guard from coming in and protecting ICE agents who are federal agents?
The same way they can hide who. The same way they can hide which political mafia member. Which political mafia member gave the stand down order? Notice how they're just covering it up. Every fracking one of them. And they knew that. They gave the stand down order. It came over the radio. They gave it. And they'll hide it just the same way they hid what Mike Madigan, Ed Burke, the Daily Syndicate, and all the rest have been doing to the city for half a century. They like it dirty and scummy. They steal a lot of money that way, babe. What else you got?
Right. And the other thing I have is, I know that the Democratic Senate, they're a bunch of frauds. But what do? Do they pick out the ones that are the biggest frauds and liar, like this Padilla and Schiff?
Rich, hold on.
And Blumenthal?
No, Rich.
I mean, these guys aren't credible at all. How can they question?
It's credible. Why do you do this? Every day I tell you. What are you, nuts?
I understand that, but
it's money. They're all worth tens of millions. They never work. They don't pay taxes. Do you understand? How many people right now are worried if they're going to use their credit card and it goes through when they put gas in the car or they try to buy dinner for their wife? How many decent, honest Americans? Imagine never worrying. Never. There is no fracking reality when you're a scumbag Democrat. None. That's why Jesse Jackson Jr. can run again. It's why the people will accept it because they want in on that deal. It's alluring. Oh, there's a word you didn't think you'd hear, would you, tight pants? It's alluring to be part of this mafia. After all, it has no repercussions. Here's Nancy Pelosi, drunk since the 80s, worth $500 million. $500 million.
for Attorney General who's embroiled in a scandal over text messages in which he, the Democrat, said that the GOP Speaker of the House of Delegates should get 2 bullets to the head for how he paid tribute to a former moderate Democratic lawmaker who died. He has apologized. Should he get out of the race?
Well, that's up to the people, the leaders in Virginia. They have said he has apologized.
Why doesn't anybody ask her what she thinks of the stock market? This dizzy bimbo has a better return than BlackRock, Blackstone. Pick a hedge fund. It's 5 times better. Nobody asks her about the market. Of course, do you think maybe it's because she doesn't speak in sentences anymore?
What I understand is they say that on balance, he's a better person to be Attorney General. But that's
he's a great person. Murder, rape, 119 miles an hour in a 70 mile an hour speed. He's a great person. He's your typical low-life, low-living rat Democrat.
To them. But I wish there would be enough fuss of all the times that people have said they were going to put a bullet in my head right in public, in the public
I think
domain.
It's because of that, that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you that. You are somebody...
See, I don't know why anybody would want any of these people to not live 200 years. I personally love watching them age and soil themselves and forget how to speak. I like it.
Who knows all too well in a horrific way.
We have to get rid of that kind of language. I mean, it's just not appropriate.
How about insider trading? Is that appropriate? How about never pay your taxes? Is that appropriate? Which language can we keep and which one do we have to get rid of? The one that calls every one of you and proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, every one of you, what you are.
I was very struck by the tone that she took with senators and the way that she was essentially saying that she couldn't speak to many of these questions. What was your reaction to the way she presented herself today?
Well, I was really struck, Casey, by how aggressive, combative that Attorney General Bondi was today, particularly with Democratic senators questioning her. Senator Blumenthal, for example, was right after me, and he asked some of the same questions I had at greater length about the indictment of Jim Comey. And she immediately launched back at him, attacking him with issues raised in his last senatorial campaign that were utterly off the point.
There's a piece that forgot to get mentioned. Oh, wait, I'm against the clock. All right, we'll be back. I'm going to play you the front end of that Pam Bondi clip when I get back.
What if everything you've been told about government, healthcare, poverty, energy, and even science is a carefully constructed lie? In Shaun Thompson's new book, What If It's All a Lie? Shaun Thompson dismantles the myths at the core of modern America. This is the book the ruling class doesn't want you to read. And once you do, you won't see the world the same way again. Order your copy today at ShaunThompsonShow.com/book.
You've heard me talk about Northridge for years, but now I want you to hear from one of their recent graduates, TJ Gorman, who just graduated second in his class in Marine Corps basic training. This is what he said. I was blessed to attend Northridge not only for the education, but for the values and principles my mentors instilled within me. The school taught us what it meant to be a leader and lead through example, hard work, humility, and empathy. I thank God for Northridge. That's what makes Northridge Prep great for young men. The students are called to excellence to become true leaders. And these boys want to go to school each day. They love Northridge because they can be free to learn, to grow, and to be challenged. There's a real spirit of adventure on campus that you've just got to experience for yourself. For nearly 50 years, they've partnered with parents like no other school in the Chicagoland area. Today, in our nation, we need more Northridge graduates to lead the way as men of intellect and character who love God. Guys like TJ Gorman, men who put their values first. Their open house is Sunday, October 19th at 1 p.m. for boys in grades 6 through 12. Register at northridgeprep.org. northridgeprep.org.
So how long were you told you'd be on that medication you're taking? That's what I thought. Question, do you believe it's possible for you to be set free of the medication you're currently on? Or will you be stuck taking it forever, not to mention all of the side effects? Imagine what it would feel like to be drug-free. You know, the United States makes up less than 5% of the world's population, yet we use over 85% of the world's supply of medication. That's 95% of the world using 15% of the leftover medications, with over 53 other countries living longer than we do here in the United States today. So instead, let's help your body regain its health naturally. Begin your adventure in health with us today by calling our HealthQuest radio hotline and reserve your very own new patient strategy consultation with me. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Oh, and listen to HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, every Saturday morning at 11.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Some big news. Just before Charlie Kirk died, he issued a stark warning of terrifying dangers and threats ahead for those who stand for truth. Charlie wrote this in his last published work, the foreword for the new book, Pagan Threat. Authored by Pastor Lucas Miles, Charlie said that Pagan Threat could save America. Charlie said you must read, internalize, and share this book. It has the plan to stop the wokeism infecting America. Already a #1 Amazon bestseller, Pagan Threat is available wherever books are sold. Get Pagan Threat free with Newsmax's special offer and save $30. Go online now to paganthreat.com. That's paganthreat.com. Millions are tuning into Newsmax on all major cable systems. They're downloading our free Newsmax app on their smartphones. And they're getting Pagan Threat to see Charlie Kirk's final words. Go today to paganthreat.com. That's paganthreat.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Now, the reason that Pam Bondi has utter contempt for all Democrat senators is because they specifically understood exactly what was happening with the Biden syndicate family. Completely understood. And when you talk about them individually, like this moron senator who pretended he was a Vietnam veteran, is because they attain this office in the same way our Democrats do. They lie and they cheat and then they steal.
Senator Blumenthal, I find it so interesting that you didn't bring any of this up during President Biden's administration when he was doing everything to protect Hunter Biden, his son. And I think you just saw what Director Radcliffe just released. I'm not going to yell over you. I'm not going to get...
What he released is the documentation proving beyond the shadow of a doubt the only reason Biden went to Ukraine was to get rid of the prosecutor. And we had the evidence for years. For years. It's on my hotkeys. Here you go.
Convincing that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours.
Now, since he did this, and the prosecutor was pulled, since he did this, not only have hundreds of thousands of people died that wouldn't have had to die, the American taxpayer has been financially robbed. Hundreds of billions.
The wife of a Ukrainian politician has been caught allegedly smuggling $28 million.
That's just one. There are thousands of the upper echelon of the Ukrainian mafia that has stolen our money along with Democrats. So when you hear these imbeciles pretend to ask questions about weaponized government, they're running a syndicate that would make the Daleys and the 50 thief aldermen blush.
In the gutter with you. But information that the Biden administration told them not to investigate Hunter Biden's involvement with Ukraine.
And the FBI sat on the laptop. There have been 3 investigative books written. Hundreds of thousands of messages, texts, and emails, all confirming exactly that Joe Biden was a traitor and that many, many, many Democrats knew about it. So if you don't care about the billions that are stolen, why don't you care about the hundreds of thousands of lives that have ended? That none of it would have happened had he not stolen the 2020 election.
I'm going to be lectured to you about integrity
another topic,
by
and I'm hoping
someone
that you will review
who lied about being in the military just to be elected a senator.
Okay, that was every one of them. So hurry up, Chicago Democrats. Vote for the thief, Jesse Jackson Jr., the way you voted for his thief wife. Vote for the thief, J.B. Pritzker. Vote for the thief, Brandon Johnson. That's what you like, because you think you're going to get in on it. You're not going to get in on it. You're just going to pay for it. That's all. You're just going to pay over and over and over again in ways you can see through taxation and in ways you can't see, through businesses fleeing and the value of your real estate imploding. Well, you're told everything's fine. After all, it's going to be great representation.
To conspiring to defraud his reelection campaign. Today, as he mentioned, is his father, Reverend Jesse Jackson's 84th birthday.
Another scumbag, but he'll be eulogized for the rest of his days on earth and thereafter. But by the time it's over, he'll be an elder statesman in the way Chuck Schumer is or Joe Biden is, rather than being recognized for what they all are. Thieves. This is what it's all about. It's about stealing your money. And if you can survive long enough, next thing you know, you're an elder statesperson.
For Abigail Spanberger, who's the Democrat running for governor, would you call on him to step aside?
But she has to do what she has to do. She's going to be governor. She's running very well. Everybody's very proud of her candidacy.
And if not, we got enough ballots in a trunk when we need it. Just like it's Minnesota or Arizona or New York or New Jersey or the capital of the Democrat Mafia Social Club. Chirac! You'll be Democrat for another 100 years. We'll be back.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Shaun Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Nauman and Associates, Scott Tucker Solutions Incorporated, and by Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago.
Shaun Thompson here, and I'm with the team from Access One, the founder and chairman, Mark Joswiak, and vice president, Enzo Scafidi. We're talking about how Access One can help business with their IT challenges. So let me ask you this. What are the most common IT challenges you see businesses facing right now, and how does Access One help to solve them?
Some common challenges that businesses, especially, customers of ours face is obviously security. Security is the number one thing on the forefront that businesses struggle with. They have a hard time choosing which services, which products, and how to implement them, how to design them, and how to train their staff to use them. Making sure that they're up to speed on everything and understand how the technology is supposed to work is probably the biggest challenge, because it all starts at the human level. If you fail at that level, the rest of it doesn't matter.
If your business needs help with managed IT, cybersecurity, or voice technologies, you need to contact the team at Access One. Learn more at access1inc.com. That's access1inc.com, or call them directly today at 1-800-804-8333.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. So stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use the promo code BECK. Terms do apply.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap GoodRx, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
The goal of the Marxist, of the socialist, of the communist is not a quality of life of equality through success. It's equality through poverty. That's why the American socialists are destroying the principles of home ownership. We're going to discuss that with the author of 2008, What Really Happened. Winner of the Elijah Watt Sells Award is an accountant, Todd Sheets. After News with Patrick Johnson.
Thank you, Sean. Good afternoon. It's 61 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 newsroom on AM 560 The Answer. Mayor Johnson reacting to a comment from President Trump claiming that the mayor should be jailed for not protecting ICE officers. The president also mentioned that Governor Pritzker needs to be behind bars. Mayor Johnson posting on X, this is not the first time the president has tried to have a black man unjustly arrested, adding he's not going anywhere. Pritzker also responding on X, stating that he will not back down. Close to 500 National Guard troops arrived to the Chicago area yesterday. Women from the south side of Chicago say President Trump was sending a love note when he mentioned black women in the city wearing MAGA hats.
The president said Monday that black women with MAGA hats in Chicago want the National Guard to come in and just want to be safe. Longtime South Shore resident Jessica Jackson responded Tuesday at a press conference inside City Hall.
You sent me, you sent Zoe Lee, and you sent Danielle Carter a love note because you saw the work that we were doing in City Hall.
Chicago Flips Red Vice President Danielle Carter Walters said there are thousands more who love Trump.
It shows up when we get emails. It shows up when we get them saying, when we walking down the street, hey guys, I'm with you all. I love what you're doing. I'm just not going to say nothing.
Carter Walters said people would see the results on Election Day when she said Chicago and Illinois flip red. I'm Chip Talamonte.
News is a service of the AM 560 store. Order T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University and the Shaun Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat.
I'm Taylor Riggs, and this is the Fox Business Report. Stocks ending mixed as investors parse minutes from the Fed's September policy meeting, at which the central bank made its first rate cut of the year. Most participants said that it would be appropriate to ease monetary policy further over the remainder of the year. Tech stocks gained as the AI rally regained momentum. The Magnificent Seven stocks were mostly higher, led by NVIDIA. Its shares rose over 2%. In the meantime, gold continues its record-breaking rally, rising above $4,060 a troy ounce as investors seek safe haven assets. The Dow down a point, the Nasdaq higher by 255, S&P 500 up 39. Oracle shares edged higher and rose over 1% after sinking on Tuesday, following a report that raised questions about the profitability of its AI cloud business. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Shaun Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Aid for Women, Breakthrough Ideas, and by Attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. So stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use the promo code BECK. Terms do apply. Cold weather will be here before you know it. And you know what I realized the other day? The power usually goes out when it gets really, really cold, especially in Texas for some reason. And Americans have no way to keep their families warm. Isn't that nuts? People freeze in today's world. Then I heard about the Vesta off-grid space heater from the great people at My Patriot Supply. Now, this is a space heater that doesn't use electricity. It runs on something called canned heat, which is an indoor-safe fuel. The Vesta, if it's stored in your closet, you know you can keep warm no matter what. And it doubles as a stove to boil water or cook food, which is pretty cool. Now, the best part is you can get a Vesta and a bunch of other free gifts when you order the Winter Prep Special from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn right now and see everything included. The offer's not going to last long, and neither will this nice fall weather. So go to mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn today. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn.
This is Alistair Begg, inviting you to sail with me next September 5th through the 12th, 2026, on the Deeper Faith Norwegian Fjords Cruise. If you've never been to this picturesque part of the world, the sights are magnificent, and the glacier-carved cliffs demonstrate the grandeur of God's creative handiwork. Throughout the journey, I'll be teaching from the Bible. Together we'll learn from the Scriptures, enjoy a week of fellowship and worship, and stop at several ports where we'll stroll through quaint Nordic villages. This is an opportunity to explore scenes you won't soon forget, all while forming new friendships with fellow believers from around the world. Cabins are limited, so call today at 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com. 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com. I hope to see you on board.
Book today at 560theanswer.com/deeperfaith. How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Westbound 8094 near Chase, there is an accident in the right lane, and that backs up all the way at Central. Pretty heavy on the inbound Edens 50, Lake Hook Road to Montrose, while the outbound side checks in clearly. Kennedy 50 minutes out to O'Hare from the Chamberlain interchange, and the outbound Eisenhower 1 hour and 5, Post Office out to 390. Stevenson 50 minutes to Sabo Lakeshore Drive to the Veterans Memorial. Our outbound Dan Ryan, and right at the Skyway there is an accident in the left lane. Outbound 57 stop and go Ryan down to 103rd. Heavy conditions along DuSable Lakeshore Drive either way, as well as the Tri-State. Heavy in both directions, all the tollways filled in. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. From the AM 560 The Answer Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, expect clear skies with a low of 48. Thursday will bring abundant sunshine and a high of 65. Thursday night will be mainly clear with a low of 47. On Friday, anticipate some sun followed by increasing clouds, reaching a high of 68. Saturday is set to have plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hour of The Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. Get top dollar for guns and military items. DonleyAuctions.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
I love America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and all else. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, I'll read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian Economic School, motherfuckers.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government with a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other. He's Shaun Thompson, and this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag.
When we talk to my next guest, understand when he was taking his CPA as an accountant. He won the Elijah Watt Sells Award, which 3% of accountants win. He's wicked smart. He's the author of 2008, What Really Happened. So when we talk about home prices, I want to get started with this.
Go further toward the Vienna model. We'll have to go beyond the market. We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership. We can give tenants a right of first refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale.
We can take away all the property rights of America if we only implement communism, socialism, or Marxism, whatever you prefer, to destroy the quality of American life. Todd Sheets, author of the book 2008, What Really Happened. How are you?
Shaun, I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, it's always aggravating as you watch these idiots. We're gonna implement the Vienna model. Oh, you mean is it different than the Havana model, where we just take the homes and turn everything into a prison island? And the funny thing is, for some reason in the year 2025, people are willing to destroy the formula of freedom and liberty that gave us, as the youngest country, the highest quality of life. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons, but I'll start with two of them. One is we've had an educational system that has absolutely failed the country and our younger students and young adults for the last, 40, 50 years, where they've been brought up in these models where they are taught that, capitalism is the problem and socialism is the answer. And that's what we see with Mamdani in New York, where a huge percentage of his supporters, are young white college graduate type people. And they're buying into this idea because it's what they've been taught so long. And then the second factor behind that is that when you go down these paths, one failure leads to another. And instead of admitting the prior failures, what always ends up happening is the people that are implementing these failed policies say, well, the fix is we need even more government control or intervention in the system. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now in situations like New York. They've had rent control for so long. They've had socialist policies, tax rates that have driven businesses out of the city. They've got all these kids who went to these expensive colleges and have big government debts as a result of that. They're not getting jobs that enable them to pay for that. They can't afford housing. And so instead of blaming it on the real problems, which were all these government interventions, they're taught to blame it on capitalism, which is part of the failure.
Well, and the other thing is that we have so many people who work very hard, right? And home ownership is what separates so much of the American wealth from all the wealth around the world. Not only are we the country built in property rights, it's still amazing to me that people think that socialism or communism or Marxism is even legal. I've always believed it's absolutely illegal. And when you hear these imbeciles, these children, Mamdani, 33, never worked a day in his fracking life, he literally is talking about usurping property rights of landlords. And I would be outraged if that already hasn't happened under Obama, who made it impossible in the Chicagoland area and really throughout many of the areas to deny Section 8 housing as rent payment. Do you know that, right? That in Chicago, in the state of Illinois, and as president, he made it so that if you're in an urban area or you live near an urban area, you cannot deny government Section 8 as rent as a landlord, or you have massive problems. Throughout Chicago, real estate brokers and the rest of it, it's a way to test other real estate companies. They call them up and say, will you take Section 8 housing? If you say no, you have a problem on your hands. So you've already taken away the principles of home ownership and real estate ownership in our country. So once the citizens, through ignorance or stupidity or self-loathingness, allowed that to happen, is it really that outrageous to think some 33-year-old communist can take away the principles of property ownership in this country?
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, when you have these, escalating failures building on top of themselves, and people are looking for something to blame, they think the system's not working, and what they're getting taught all the way through now, it's all the way down into grade school, but from grade school through college, is that, capitalism is the problem, not the solution. Then this is what people are going to think. The system's failing me. What system is failing you? Capitalism. I need something different. I need socialism. When in reality, it's been creeping socialism that's failed all along. So I wrote in my Substack piece this last week I was just back up to Iowa. I always go back once a year to see a football game with my buddies I went to college with at the university there. And I grew up in Cedar Rapids, and I was back in the neighborhoods that I grew up in. And my dad was a probably low, moderate income kind of person. He was a school teacher, a young school teacher, in the 60s and 70s, and a football coach. But they didn't make anything for coaching football in high school at that time. And I walked through the neighborhoods I grew up in. We owned two houses that were on two different streets, but they were only about a block from each other. And what hit me so powerfully this time with all this stuff going on housing was here I had my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so we were a single-income family. That income was teachers' wages, a beginning teachers' wages back in the 60s and 70s, and yet they were able to buy nice homes in two neighborhoods where the name partners from the two biggest law firms in the city also lived like a couple blocks away. There were executives at Cargill. One of my best buddies, his dad was a big executive at Cargill. He lived a couple blocks away. The buddy I was back to the football game with, his dad was a lawyer and later a judge in the city. And what hit me was how amazingly affordable the housing markets were at that time. And it made me think, well, what were the key characteristics? Well, the key characteristics was we had very little government intervention in the system. And as a result of that, the markets did this amazing balancing act between interest rates, home prices, and local incomes. And because all those things were balanced out, even people starting off, at the low end of the income ladder, were able to afford decent homes in nice neighborhoods. And we moved away from that model, and then beginning with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and then the Federal Reserve, and that's what's pushed us to the point that we're at now.
Todd, how about the excitement over these two entities of fraud going public again, and we're supposed to celebrate this? These are two entities that exist on financial fraud, as I see it. And no financial reality, and the other side effect of this, and the other side of the coin of what has actually happened. Not only has 85% of the debt been added since Barack Obama took office in the collapse of 2008, but the government's reaction to it has destroyed the buying power of our dollar even more. I started my segment by talking about real estate prices in the Gold Coast of Chicago, and the Loop and the Gold Coast, all these areas where everybody wanted to buy a condo. When you inflationally adjust the money, they're down 27.27% on average. That's not even specificity. I want to play you a cut of the Chicagoland area, the cost of corruption.
This classic three-story brownstone on Chicago's South Side has a connection to one of the legendary comedy teams in movie history. For a number of years in the early 1900s, it was home to the Marx Brothers. Groucho, Chico, Harpo, Zeppo, and Gummo Marx were born and raised in New York. But as their stage careers blossomed, their mother, Minnie Marx, decided to move to Chicago, railroad capital of America, and centrally located to the vaudeville houses in which they performed around the country. In 1912, Minnie bought the home at 4512 South King Drive, then Grand Avenue, for $21,000. The neighborhood was largely populated by Jewish residents of German heritage. While the brothers were often traveling,
$21,000 in 1912, inflationally adjusted. That's $670,000 today. You could buy this house for half of that. I mean, to give you an idea of the destruction of money, of buying power. And by the way, this house sold in 1982 for $22,000. To give you an idea of feudalism around Democrat areas and the cost of this ignoring of actual corruption in a political climate. So when you look at these Democrat enclaves and you see now that things are so bad that it's acceptable in a society of America built on property rights with the highest quality of life for a would-be mayor of arguably the most successful city in the world to say we're going to go to the Vienna communist model and take property. My argument is this. If you are a decent person living in this area, you really don't want to ever be aware of how much this is costing you if you start to inflationally timestamp money, do you?
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, I'm working on a piece for this coming week for the Substack which is called Gold 4000, which we just passed for the first time in history, and it's called a canary in the gold mine. And it gets back to exactly these issues that, we're talking about here. We were on the gold standard. Gold was basically $20 an ounce, give or take a little bit, from 1800 until the Great Depression of 1930s, when it went to $35 an ounce because Europe broke the gold standard by all the deficit money that they printed for World War I. So then we were basically 35 to $40 an ounce until the early 70s, when all of the deficit spending, forced us off of it, forced Nixon to go off of the.
But 4,000 an ounce is Weimar Republic numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, compared to, when you go back and look at that, those earlier periods of time where we go 130 years without any change in the cost of gold dollars per ounce, there was also, not coincidentally, no inflation, the highest growth rate, and the greatest upward mobility in the history of the world. That was the period of time when, the Marx Brothers were buying that house that you were talking about.
Correct. So let me ask you a question to give the right perspective, and that is this. When we talk about a government shutdown, we're not really talking about politics at this level of insanity of money. We really aren't. And how it's ignored. 85% of the actual debt, when Barack Obama was sworn in, the debt in this country was between $8 and $9 trillion. It's now $38 trillion. It's unbelievable. And all these people on the business channels, they talk about this shutdown as if it's just politics. It's actual math. And if we continue down this road where one politician now the precedent is $9 trillion on the debt. Forget about what you like of Trump, what you don't like. If we continue down that road, how long before it is Weimar Republic? And people in this country have been sequestered from economic realities. When you talk about this Mendamni, he's never lived through a recession. This child, this intellectual dwarf, has never lived through a recession. So what does it look like when $9 trillion on the debt, when your dollar goes negative? Because right now, if you look at value of dollar from gold standard to now, we're between 1 and 3 cents given on what you're buying. What happens when it goes negative? I'm asking because I think, but I don't know. What happens?
Well, I think what's going to happen here, I think this is one of the things I'm writing about this week, is I think this may be the biggest single risk that the Trump administration faces, is that, and you and I talked a couple months ago, we like the idea of keeping the tax cuts in place in the big, beautiful bill. We could not saddle the country with a massive tax increase to tackle the deficit. That would have killed the growth. That is our only way out of this. But at the same time, we both felt like they made a big mistake in not going after the spending side of the equation.
Yeah.
And that those deficits are still sitting there. And now with this government shutdown and the Democrats pushing not to let these what were supposed to be temporary COVID-related expansions of Obamacare roll off, they are trying to add further to the deficit. And I think, my reading of it's I don't know, I don't have any inside information here, but I think Trump feels very vulnerable on these issues.
If I'm playing cards, I'm all in.
These healthcare issues.
He's going to fold. The Republicans are going to fold. Book it. I don't think there's a chance they don't. And this is why I'm asking you the question. Because in there, that's what they're trying to hide. Because it hides the fact of what Barack Obama successfully did, is destroy the principles of private health care. Destroy it. It is already single payer. It is already single payer and has been for years. And that's what we're really... But nonetheless, it is the single greatest destruction tool of the value of our dollar, ironically, is healthcare, which there's no such thing. There's death maintenance, but not actual health care. And the bulk of the costs go to the lowest living form of Americans around us, not the sick people who are sick genetically. That's a different category. This is the people who are the real costs, not just the illegal aliens, the degenerates. The cost is insane for just one drug addict degenerate over and over again. In Chicago, when somebody gets shot, it's $1 million if there's any damage by the time you're done paying for it. So you can't keep it up, can you?
No, I mean, and this is where I think, I'm talking about the canary in the gold mine is if they do not get the spending under control and the Fed does what Federal Reserves and central banks have done for the last 400 years, and they resort to printing money and inflation runs up, which is what I think these gold prices are a harbinger of. That is when the chickens are going to come home to roost, because then we're looking at going back to potentially something like the 1970s, where you have runaway inflation, rising interest rates. Rising interest rates will hit asset values, which are stock prices, bond prices, and housing prices, which are the things that a lot of the spending has been based on because of the failure, this continued government failure, which has not allowed the private sector to create real economic growth. So we've had all these manipulative games that have created spending out of these financial assets and housing assets to try and keep the economy propped up. And that's when the chickens could come home to roost. And I think they have got to recognize this and deal with these issues.
This is the opposition to communism's fault. This is the Republicans' fault. They lied about it. They hid it. They're still doing it. I don't care what the business station is. The fact that they talk about these insane inflationary indicators, which is really the destruction of our dollar, as if it's gold made a new high. The S&P made a new high. Bitcoin's $120,000. That is insane. And it's all because of cowardice. And that's why everybody needs to read ToddSheetsWriter.com. Well, that's your website, but the Substack is a fantastic place on wealth and progress. Real progress, not the communist progress, right?
Absolutely. Not the fake artificial progress we've had for the last 25 years.
The progress of communism and slavery, which is how it's been referred to by Democrats who are really mafia members. Todd Sheets, I can't thank you enough for continuing to write about this and talk about it. And it's the perspective everybody needs. Now I just need to get you into Washington. I have a lot of faith in Bessent. Fine, okay. But stop lying about the health care. I mean, just stop it. Tell everybody what it's really done, what it really costs, and who really sucks it up. It's not just the illegal, it's the American degenerate that sucks it up. And you can't commingle with communism. Just ask anybody in Cuba or the former Soviet Union. Todd Sheets, thanks for always making time for me. I appreciate you.
Shaun, thanks for having me. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
Broadcasting from the petri dish of corruption known as the state of Illinois.
In the upper Midwest, the nation, and around the world.
This is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Ben, why are you wearing a lab coat?
I'm conducting a highly sensitive experiment, Arvid.
Here, at Penny Mustard.
Obviously, Nicole.
What's going on?
We've seen a significant uptick in the number of gasping customers.
Gasping?
I've isolated the gasping to this 12-foot radius.
Well, of course. This is where we display the Joni sofa.
Now that's a gasp-worthy sofa.
The Joni sofa's sophistic-crafted fortress frame construction makes it as strong as a tank.
When you pair it with our high-quality foam and hundreds of fabric and leather options, you get an incredibly durable, yet surprisingly supple sofa.
Was that you?
Oh no, it's contagious.
Come see the Joni sofa, American-made with fortress hardwood frame, ultra-high-density cushions, and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at $19.13 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker, and I'm here with
Amy Jacobson
from Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and Amy Jacobson here on AM 560 The Answer. Now, I'm a financial advisor, and Amy's the co-host for our program. Amy, recently President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. A lot of folks aren't realizing, Amy, that if they have highly appreciated assets, they can potentially tax defer the capital gains tax, place that money into a qualified opportunity fund, and then 10 years from now, get back out of that investment and pay no capital gains tax on either investment. Have you heard of such a thing, Amy?
I did not know about that. That seemed to be hidden in the bill.
It's only 900 some pages.
Yeah,
we have to pass it to see what's in it.
An easy beach read, yes.
Yes. And now there's another thing in the bill as well, Amy. Section 1202. Amy, did you read Section 1202?
I did not, but thank you for the homework assignment.
If you're a small business owner, many small business owners can now sell their small business and potentially pay no federal capital gains taxes on that capital gain of selling their business.
Wow.
If you'd like to get a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Text the keyword book. That's BOOK to 224-496-3999. Text the keyword book to 224-496-3999. In addition to the free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? You'll also get our entire Retirement Decoded toolkit. We'll also give you the opportunity to talk to us 15 minutes for free over the telephone at another time so we can go through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act with you, show you how to potentially sell your highly appreciated assets and pay no federal capital gains tax, how qualified opportunity funds work, and also if you're a small business owner, how to potentially pay no capital gains on the sale of your small business through Section 1202 of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Text book to 224-496-3999 or call that very same number, 224-496-3999.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm does not offer tax advice.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. So stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use the promo code BECK. Terms do apply.
A lot of people have asked, a lot of people have called the show, and I just heard a rumor I may be doing a breakout session with an added guest. Not totally sure, but I think Mike Gallagher talked about it on his show today. That would be even more fun, because I always have fun at Freedom Summit. Every year, it's absolutely fantastic. This year, we've got Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, and the rumor has it, maybe, perhaps, even Mike Gallagher. It sells out every year, so don't. And what happens is when it sells out, then people call Honey Bunny, hey, could you get me a ticket? Right now, there are ticket prices for every single budget. You don't have to spend a ton of money at all, but it's worth everything you do spend. Whether you're the VIP or you're just coming to hang out and listen to us, there's breakout sessions. We have the speakers from Dr. Ben Carson to Scott Jennings. Myself will be there, Dan Proft will be there, and possibly Mike Gallagher. Wait till he finds out I'm the one that parked real close to him for a week when I abandoned Dan Proft's car during the hurricane. He's going to get over it. He'll be fine. For all information on tickets, go to freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. And you might be able to watch Mike Gallagher yell at me for parking too close to his car. But I hope I see you there. Freedom Summit, and this time it's where it is all the time. And you know, when we have it at the Westin Chicago Northwest, it's in Itasca. It's a great location, great place, good people. I cannot wait to see you there. It's all happening on November 8th. That's November 8th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Josh, you will be first, 312-642-5600 if you care to participate. After news.
Thanks, Sean. Good afternoon. 61 in Chicago. The AM 560 newsroom on AM 560, The Answer. Several lawmakers and community activists in the North Chicago suburb of Waukegan are upset after an American citizen was arrested by ICE and then released. Some are calling the action un-American. Dariana Fajardo was arrested Monday after she was accused of boxing in ICE vehicles with her car, which she denied. She told reporters that federal agents roughed her up. The Waukegan mayor, Congressman Brad Schneider, State Senator Mary Edley Allen denounced the arrest, calling it unwarranted. Jesse Jackson Jr. is seeking to return to his former Illinois congressional seat. The son of the civil rights leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson, is expected to officially launch his campaign for the 2nd Congressional District to honor his father's 84th birthday. The seat is currently held by Representative Robin Kelly, who is seeking to replace outgoing Senator Dick Durbin. Jackson Jr. served about 17 months in federal prison after pleading guilty in 2013 to conspiring to defraud his campaign fund of close to $750,000. This news update is quickly delivered by Quick Delivery Service. For same-day, reliable delivery, Quick Delivery will customize a logistics plan to pick up your items and move them safely to their destination. Trust their 40 years of experience for peace of mind. Get a quote at quickdelivery.com. The next news update coming your way at 6 o'clock. Continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. On AM 560 from the Traffic Center, here's Jill Urchak checking the road.
It's an hour on the inbound Edens. Fortunately, the outbound side looks good. The Kennedy out to O'Hare from downtown, 50 minutes. And the Eisenhower out to 390 from downtown, an hour and 20. Stevenson out 55, DuSable Lakeshore Drive to 355. Stall inbound Ryan at Canalport, 15 minutes going in, 48 though on the flip side. 57 northbound still tight near Harlem. That's due to a stall on the right shoulder. Heavy conditions along DuSable Lakeshore Drive, both north and south. Stall Tri-State South on the exit ramp to westbound 88. All of the tollways are filled in at this time. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. From the AM 560 The Answer Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, expect clear skies with a low of 48. Tomorrow, abundant sunshine will prevail with a high of 65. Tomorrow night will be mainly clear with a low of 47. On Friday, anticipate some sun followed by increasing cloudiness, reaching a high of 68. Saturday is set to bring plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest and Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Shaun Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Lutheran Life Communities, Virago, and by Senior Helpers of Naperville.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Shaun Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Family fun is back at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove. For over 40 years, Gobert's is Chicagoland's family destination for fall fun. Come experience new rides, a huge corn play box, train adventure, farm animals, and our famous pumpkin-eating dinosaur.
This was the most fun day ever. My parents were there, my kids were there. There was a pumpkin patch, a maze, a haunted house, slides, a train, a fresh market, and there was so much more. I loved it.
It's a family tradition for us to visit Gobert's. The pumpkins are great, the attractions are fun, and the apple cider donuts are to die for.
Loved it. And almost all the activities were free. My kids had a blast.
And the kids say,
my mom loves the homemade caramel apple.
I have to say, the pumpkin cannon is cool.
They got a pumpkin-eating dinosaur. The live giraffe is really cool.
I love the jumping pillow and the pumpkin express train ride.
Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove. Pick apples, visit the pumpkin patch, explore the park, and just have fun. Go to Goberts.com to purchase tickets now. That's Goberts.com. Goberts, harvesting family memories.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
I believe it was on this show, lovely honey bunny. Squirrel Hands is still on vacation. Tight Pants doesn't remember because he normally works the mornings. I told you that Palisades fire was arson. Arson! Of course it is. Before I get to the news story, let's go to Josh. He's been holding for a while. Josh, how do you say... Where is this neighborhood you're calling from? Where is this?
I live in Braidwood, right next to the nuclear power plant.
Oh, are you enjoying your three-headed dog? Go ahead.
No, we have
kidding.
three-eyed fish.
Oh, very good, very good. I love that part of The Simpsons. You know, it's amazing because most people don't know. There 14 nuclear power plants in Illinois, and not a one of them operates?
Actually, that's not necessary. Braidwood operates.
Oh, it does. Good for you. Good.
Yeah, we got to keep the glow going, bud. We got to keep it going.
Yeah, Illinois, the most power plants of any state in the country, and what is it? 2 operate at all? The rest are shut down?
I think it's there's 2, and they want to shut down the second to last one. Braidwood just keeps holding on. I think it has something to do with the school district. I don't know.
Good for you. Stay safe.
Right. Hey, listen, the reason I was calling is with this government shutdown, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff. And I was wondering if you had checked in with your good buddy Harold Daggett and seen how he's doing.
I sent my son. That guy, Harold Daggett, the longshoreman thief?
Yeah.
I love that fracking guy. It's amazing. It's amazing that it doesn't get more play. But he got his contract. Trump put his arm around him, and that scam and scandal is living strong, the Harold Daggett scandal.
I would love to be with you in Australia, but I sent a pretty strong representative in my place. My son, Dennis Daggett.
I sent my son. He's another meathead. And my favorite thing is when you look him up, I don't know if you ever did, longshoreman president, right? The multi-million-dollar mansion he lives in. He was in a case. I always forget which crime syndicate in New York it is. The Genovese crime syndicate. He was mentioned. He was the guy that was testifying. He was a co-defendant, and then he was testifying against him. He ended up in a trunk of a restaurant, and they let him walk. You got to frickin' love that. That's why when New York elects this communist, good for them. You get what you deserve. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, just ignore the glow. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. I'm kidding. It's a lot safer than ComEd and a lot less corrupt, right? I mean, ComEd, what do they get, a fine for being in bed with the Madigan Mafia? And then they raised everybody's costs. I love that. And you pay again. But it's almost like what we were talking about with Todd Sheets. You see, the single greatest contributor isn't the housing crisis per se. It's Obamacare. Obamacare is the single greatest economic destruction, not to mention the health care. And now all you have left are Democrats in lab coats. I'd rather go to the post office for health care than let a Democrat doctor near me. And you pay extremely high costs for insurance that sucks.
Life or death, we will not let Republicans blow up our health care system. And this isn't the first time they've tried to do this.
Total repeal of the Obamacare bill.
Or the second.
The repeal of Obamacare.
Or even the third. You get the point.
That was John McCain with the thumbs down. And you know what got me thinking as I was listening to this smarmy bastard whose kids, one works for Amazon and the other works for asshat known as Facebook. And we had a whole movement to rip out Obamacare because everybody, and I mean everybody, told you what was going to happen. It wasn't just Sarah Palin. And it's funny as with the media. They called her a moron, but they called this office whore, Kamala Harris. What is she, a lawyer? Sure she is. Sarah Palin was right about everything she said about Obamacare. And we're right now. And it started an entire movement. What was that called a while ago? I believe it was called the Tea Party. And then you had the scum of the earth. Scum. I'm a Tea Party Republican. That moron that used to be behind this microphone, that simp, hit his mother in the face with a shovel if she was standing on $5. And Adam Kinzinger. Remember Adam Kinzinger? He's fat now. Rich, too. What did he ever do? Nothing.
You know what's crazy? I've got to imagine that being trans is a struggle for people who are.
No more than being a waffling, low-life, rat Democrat mafia supporter such as yourself. By the way, I hear the food is good, though, huh? Fatso?
Probably initially they're very confused. They feel maybe some shame, whatever.
No, that's your family.
And so they find themselves in a place of struggle, I would guess, initially. And then you think of immigrants who come to the United States, yes, illegally, and yes, wrongly, but they come here out of desperation in most cases because they...
But why don't they take advantage once they're here? That's the $1 million question. 6 pathways. Adam Kinzinger should know this. He was a congressman, right? Or was he just on the phone raising money like Joe Walsh and all the other scum Tea Party Republicans that stabbed you in the back? Now they're Democrats.
They want to support their family, their kids. They don't have an opportunity in Honduras or Guatemala or El Salvador or whatever.
or the south side of Chicago, or very similar to all of those hellholes. And Adam Kinzinger is going to tell you now how you've been wrong about everything you've thought about legal immigration, even though we have tens of millions of legal immigrants. Did everything the right way. Adam Kinzinger sides with the gangbanger.
So these people are willing to even leave their family in many cases and risk everything to provide.
Or it could be that they're part of this.
We begin with breaking news. Federal and local authorities have conducted a series of raids in San Pedro, targeting members and also associates of the Mexican mafia.
Multiple people have been taken into custody. KTLA 5's Lauren Lister live now in San Pedro, where officials are announcing the results of the operation. Lauren.
Yeah, Glenn and Lou, they are just wrapping up giving those announcements inside the police department here. Now, what we are told are that 13 people were taken into custody as part of these arrests and search warrants served at 17 locations early this.
What the Trump administration has done in 8.5 months, scum like Adam Kinzinger couldn't do in years. Wouldn't do. Didn't want to do. Whether it's Joe Walsh or Adam Kinzinger, or pick a scumbag, stab in the back. Could be Mitt Romney. Anybody know what Mitch McConnell thinks? Is that moron still above dirt? These are the people that allowed all of this to happen. And in 8.5 months, Donald Trump took on the Mexican mafia, which if you haven't heard about gangs, you could mention the Sinaloas, the New Generation, but this one, you're not supposed to say it. You know why? Because they behead almost as many people as the goat Casanovas in the Middle East.
This morning involving multiple law enforcement agencies, hundreds of personnel, all targeting what they say is one of the most violent and dominant gangs here in the LA Harbor area.
What about Adam Kinzinger? Did you mention them? I couldn't get to the end of this speech because you make me throw up in my mouth, you fat slob.
And MAGA and Trump and Fox News simply constantly punch down. Punch down. They call themselves...
No, I'm punched down when I drag you out of underneath your rock and I point out what not just a hypocrite, what a fraud you are, and how you and the wife are rich lobbyists. Big, fat, rich lobbyists. That's punching down, what I'm doing to you right now. I could also play the clip you talked about the pardons. Remember this?
The only reason I know to ask for a pardon is because you think you've committed a crime.
Like you did when you lied on the January 6th committee, and now the evidence is out. Liar. You and that other man, Liz Cheney.
Men, while punching down at people that are struggling, or people like immigrants that are working harder than any of them would ever dare work.
Not the Mexican mafia, not the Sinaloas or the New Generation. You didn't even mention the Latin Kings. What are you, a coward? Or are you just on the take? 312-642-5600.
This is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Honey, what's for dinner?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Because every time I need a pan, I have to unload half the kitchen first.
It's like Jenga, but with casserole dishes.
Exactly. And I always lose.
At Forever Remodeling, we create kitchens that fit your life, not the other way around. From smart storage to stunning finishes, start cooking in a kitchen built just for you. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale sale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
AM 560, The Answer.
Tight Pants, I ever tell you when that scumbag Walsh came to my cigar store? And all my friends were there, and my one friend said, "What a lying piece of dung this punk is." Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I never tolerated him. I never liked him. The wife I could tolerate up until they stiffed me. They owed me money for a year. Scumbag bust-outs that they are. But Adam Kinzinger, he's different. He is one of the reasons that so many of our citizens who are protesting, real protesters, not like the fake ones you see now for rent or the mentally handicapped, protesters for the election theft, he made sure that they were sitting in prison. He substantiated the Democrat fraud along with that handsome fella, Liz Cheney. Nick Nolte in the mugshot looks just like her. And now we have the evidence of exactly how deep it is. So he's the next one I want to see get indicted.
Some Republicans, Mr. Director, argue that Nancy Pelosi staged January 6th and the Select Committee covered it up. Based on what you personally know, what are the verifiable events in the lead-ups? And do you, I know you don't speculate, you just deal with facts.
I'm in a unique position. Remember, I was Chief of Staff for the Department of Defense on January 6th. We were responsible for the deployment of the National Guard. And what I was forced to testify 2 years ago at great personal cost has now once again, just like Russiagate, been proven true because all I do is speak the truth. On January, actually in the days before January 6th, we were in the Oval Office where the President Trump at the time, authorized, pursuant to law, up to 10 to 20,000 National Guard. We took that authorization because the law's second part required a request from who? Nancy Pelosi and the Metropolitan Police. And the mayor at the time. And what did they say? No. And remember what happened for the next 2 years? They say, oh, Cash is lying, Trump's lying. And what did we find? Letters of their declination of the National Guard, refusing to have the National Guard show up. So all I can speak to is the facts, and the facts are those plus this. Nancy Pelosi and her team were busy filming a movie on January 6th while this so-called chaos around her was going down. If she had, just look at it this way, if she had said yes to the National Guard and we had 10,000 uniformed military officers established a secure perimeter, do you think January 6th would have gone differently?
It is intriguing.
Well, that would have screwed up the FBI's plan to entrap people under an insurrection, which I keep trying to say. It wasn't one. I wasn't there. And I would have went heavy. Would have went with some costume on. I would have went heavy. You're going to overthrow a government. You better go strong. Like in Haiti. Like barbecue. I would have been barbecue. Eric and Marengo.
Hey, Sean, I just want to tell you a quick story. I'm talking to my buddy Diego at work. I love this guy. We've been working together for about 3 years now.
I know. You've told me about him enough. I think I love him, too. Tell him tomorrow, will you? Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, he tells me, he's like, you know, my wife's, she's not actually Mexican. She's Cuban. I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, but her dad, he's the real Cuban. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, he came over here in the 80s. And I was like, oh, he's one of those real Cubans. He goes, yeah, he was bringing over dope on the boat, and he was underage at the time. So they caught him with the dope on the boat. They would take the dope, and they would let him free. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, now you guys are over here, everything's good, right? You're like, no, the dad's still crazy. He's still storing cocaine, selling it. He's got yeah, no, for real. He's like, he's telling me all this. And I'm like, yeah, why are you telling me all this, right? He's like, no. And then so the dad's still doing it. Now he's got the sons doing it. And he's like, so they're
So it's a family business like Tony Montana? And you know what else this could be? He might have been able to... Go ahead.
So they're cutting it with powdered caffeine. I'm like,
allegedly. So here's the thing. He might be also aware you're going to call me, and he might really just not like his in-laws, and he just wants ICE to swarm because he's now legal, right? That's dry-foot time when he came here, Jimmy Carter and Reagan. But if he's a drug dealer, you'd tell him I said he's a scumbag. Will you please? Thank you very much, Eric. I don't like drug dealers. It is a real problem, but it pays good money. And it pays good money, and the cartels and the scumbags are willing to protect that, which is really what the Democrats represent. The representation of the cartels. the American Democrats.
Judy, in the audacious plot, 37-year-old Juan Espinoza Martinez, a Latin Kings gang member, offered a bounty on U.S. Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino.
Right after J.B. Pritzker said his name. We'll be back.
You've heard me talk about Northridge for years, but now I want you to hear from one of their recent graduates, TJ Gorman, who just graduated second in his class in Marine Corps basic training. This is what he said. I was blessed to attend Northridge not only for the education, but for the values and principles my mentors instilled within me. The school taught us what it meant to be a leader and lead through example, hard work, humility, and empathy. I thank God for Northridge. That's what makes Northridge Prep great for young men. The students are called to excellence to become true leaders. And these boys want to go to school each day. They love Northridge because they can be free to learn, to grow, and to be challenged. There's a real spirit of adventure on campus that you've just got to experience for yourself. For nearly 50 years, they've partnered with parents like no other school in the Chicagoland area. Today, in our nation, we need more Northridge graduates to lead the way as men of intellect and character who love God. Guys like TJ Gorman, men who put their values first. Their open house is Sunday, October 19th at 1 p.m. for boys in grades 6 through 12. Register at northridgeprep.org. northridgeprep.org.
The clock is ticking for Windows 10 operating system. Soon, Microsoft will no longer provide free updates, technical support, and security fixes for Windows 10 and previous versions. Is your business using Windows 10? Take action before your business is impacted. Turnkey is offering a free Windows readiness check. This free assessment will give you an analysis of where your network needs are and prepare your business for Windows 11. Don't wait. If you're not ready, your system is vulnerable and could be hacked. All your data could be lost. Your business can't afford the losses. Turnkey can help prepare you for the transition, ensuring a seamless move from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Find out if your operating system is ready for Windows 11, no charge. Ask about the free Windows readiness check today by talking to Turnkey. Visit turnkey.pro before there's no support for Windows 10. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, your small business champions.
Hey Chicagoland, your trusted friend Jeff here from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Over the past few months, I've shared how our veteran-led team serves Chicagoland homeowners. Today, I want to share with you what your neighbors are saying about working with us. Like Mary in Downers Grove, who wrote, "They listened to my concerns about moving from my home of 30 years and created a timeline that worked for me." Or Tom and Carol Stream, who said, "Their team helped me sort through 40 years of memories with respect and patience." This is why hundreds of your neighbors have given us a 5-star Google review and an A+ rating with the BBB. We don't just buy houses. We help people through life's transitions with understanding and care. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and always on your timeline. Ready to work with the home buying team your neighbors trust? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
For decades, Dennis Prager shared his wisdom with listeners around the world through his lectures, courses, interviews, and debates. Now, for the first time, the collective wisdom of Dennis Prager is being made available as a podcast. Listen to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, with new episodes released for a limited time only as a podcast. Subscribe for free today at DennisPrager.com. That's Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, exclusively at DennisPrager.com.
If your cash is sitting in a savings account, it's at risk. Old school advice says save more, but today the strategy is broken. When inflation spikes, they print money or cut rates, your dollar shrinks. So do your savings. The solution? Own something real. Physical gold and silver. When the dollar drops, gold and silver prices rise. And with Noble Gold, owning gold is simple. Just visit noblegoldinvestments.com and chat with a specialist. The knowledge is free. The protection is priceless. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Tom, I would love to get to you, but I have an opportunity to talk to somebody I've never talked to. In 1987, my next guest became the country's first teacher turned talk show host. He went on to be called one of the top 100 most influential talk show hosts in America. He now has a new podcast starting, Old School, New School, Next School, with Dom Giordano. We will talk with the aforementioned Dom Giordano after Fox Weiser News.
This is
the Fox News Alert, an agreement in place. I'm Lisa Lacera. President Trump just posting on Truth Social moments ago. I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, he wrote, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line in the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. He writes, all parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who work with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Fox's Jennifer Griffin, who's in Tel Aviv, is reporting that the agreement will be signed today and the release of hostages and prisoners will take place on Saturday. The government shut down now in day 8 after the Senate failed again to pass a short-term spending plan. House Speaker Mike Johnson is blaming Democrats.
We have voted to pay the troops, and they voted not to pay the troops. Plain and simple. There's no further vote that's needed other than the clean CR.
Numerous Democrats are calling for Speaker Johnson to bring a bill to the floor that would ensure the military and civilian personnel would get paid during the shutdown. The last of the men who escaped a New Orleans jail earlier this year has been captured.
Orleans Parish DA Jason Williams talked about escapee Derek Grove's capture, saying a convicted killer on the loose is a danger for those hunting him.
I think we thank God for that he was taken into custody without injury.
Groves was arrested after a short standoff in Atlanta. He was one of 10 men who fled the Orleans Parish Justice Center in May.
Fox's Gernal Stott. The DA says that it is too soon to talk about any additional charges for Groves. America is listening to Fox News.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Westbound I-80, there is an accident on the right shoulder at Chicago. On the outbound Edens, no troubles. The Kennedy, an accident at Kimball in the right lane. 45 minutes out to the airport. And the outbound Eisenhower solid at 1 hour. Post office to 390 Stevenson 50. DuSable Lakeshore Drive to the Veterans Memorial Tollway. 30 minutes outbound Ryan Carfire on the exit ramp to 71st. Outbound Dan Ryan in the Express, that's tight 31st to Marquette. And heavy conditions along DuSable Lakeshore Drive either way. Tri-State northbound at Eau Plaine Road, an accident in the right lane. And also an accident southbound 355 on the off-ramp to the Reagan. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. In the AM 560 The Answer Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, expect clear skies with a low of 48. Thursday will bring abundant sunshine and a high of 65. Thursday night will be mainly clear with a low of 47. On Friday, anticipate some sun followed by increasing clouds, reaching a high of 68. Saturday is set to have plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Catch more money with leading economist Steve Moore.
I'm excited about America. I think things are going really well. I think we've turned a corner here. I think Biden economics is well behind us now. This is a miracle what's going on here. If anything, it's better than I thought it would be. So many good things happening in the economy. Low inflation, low unemployment rate, consumer confidence up, business confidence up. All of the indicators are pointing north right now.
It's More Money, Saturday at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Cold weather will be here before you know it. And you know what I realized the other day? The power usually goes out when it gets really, really cold, especially in Texas for some reason. And Americans have no way to keep their families warm. Isn't that nuts? People freeze in today's world. Then I heard about the Vesta off-grid space heater from the great people at My Patriot Supply. Now, this is a space heater that doesn't use electricity. It runs on something called canned heat, which is an indoor safe fuel. The Vesta, if it's stored in your closet, you know you can keep warm no matter what. And it doubles as a stove to boil water or cook food, which is pretty cool. Now, the best part is you can get a Vesta and a bunch of other free gifts when you order the Winter Prep Special from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn right now and see everything included. The offer's not going to last long, and neither will this nice fall weather. So go to mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn today. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Glenn.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. Get top dollar for guns and military items. DonleyAuctions.com.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag.
You've heard the old joke. New York invented political corruption. New Jersey perfected it. And Chicago made it an art form. Well, Chicago's little stepbrother in the legacy of Democrat mafia control could be Philadelphia. I have had the pleasure of meeting just one Philadelphia radio host. His name is Chris Stegall. He was a wonderful guy. My next guest, however, is the first teacher to become a talk show host, 1987. He went on to be mentioned by Talkers Magazine, named one of the top 100 most influential talk show hosts in America, where he held that for more than 6 years. He now is launching a new podcast called Old School, New School, Next School with Dom Giordano. Dom, how are you?
Well, very good, Shaun. Thank you for that great introduction. I'm a friend of Chris, know him well. And one other thing, I think we can contend with you in Chicago. The last Republican mayor in Philadelphia was alive for 3 years while Billy the Kid roamed the earth. That's how far back you got to go to find a Republican. Yeah.
Well, ours is more interesting, and ours is the Capone brothers knew that if they could back the Republicans, they could implement everything from organized labor extortion mafias called unions and trucking. They could handle it all, and they could legitimize and cover up for their real movement, which was dope and liquor. So they put a front in by the name, who's got my last name. His name was Bill Thompson. He was as shady as a willow tree and twice as crooked as Grand Avenue. But he served the purpose. He gave a little respite from Democrats, but he was still a gangster. And that's really what happens is you cultivate the community to accept that. And that's why Chicago, to this day, we lead in corruption. It's like one a week out of Illinois. One politician a week gets indicted. It's absolutely beautiful, but it also shows the erosion of the intellect of society. And that's kind of where you come in. You're trying and fighting to change that. And I love what you're doing with the podcast focusing on school choice and the next evolution in school. And I'm curious to know what you think that's going to be.
Well, the next evolution is it's never been hotter for all forms of school choice. And I'll go to Illinois, for example, where you have a presidential contender, well, the governor. The big, beautiful bill has a provision in there with billions of dollars, Shaun, none of it related to taking away from public schools. In 2026, each governor has to determine, will they accept the money? Our guy, Josh Shapiro, contender for president, the bet is he won't. Even though this money would help kids in the inner city, et cetera, even though some of it goes back to public schools. So your guy, Pritzker, will be on the clock also. This has happened because of COVID. It's happening incrementally, and it's about ready to burst. We're talking homeschooling. We're talking cyber schooling, charter schools, which are huge. Shaun, just recently in the last month in New York, 15,000 kids and parents marched across the Brooklyn Bridge in protest of Mondani and what he may do. And the featured speaker was Common, the rapper, who is an owner and a big proponent of charter schools, as is Pitbull, Andre Agassi, and Jalen Rose. So it's exploding all around us. To me, it is the biggest thing that would change America, other than presidential level and all that, for parents and kids.
Well, Dom, it's interesting, right? Because what you're witnessing is the collapse of the character and the collapse of the intellect of the American. That's really what we're living in right now. And if you look at these Democrat areas, if you look at it from the perspective of the scoundrel, of the scallywag, it's perfect, right? Because Chicago, 18 out of 100 kids can read. 18 out of 100 kids can read. Less can do math. But if you're going to keep perpetrating this mafia, you cannot afford to have a society that can read and do math, number one. Number two, Chicagoans are paying an unbelievable $32,000 per head, whether it's a citizen, a non-citizen. All they need is a head count, and the money is in perpetuity. I have long believed, when you watch the Chicago Public Teachers Union come on television and argue for their contracts, I don't think the teachers can read or do math. That's another problem we have in these Democrat enclaves.
Well, Shaun, let me tell you, I envy you for one thing. The Philadelphia public school teachers are horrible. But boy, I wish I were in Chicago occasionally. You have, by my vote, and this is my passion, my side thing, I'm a former teacher, I think the most thuggish, the most out-of-control teachers union in the country. You are the winner there, and you're the benefactor for your show.
Well, here's the other side of the coin. I have been thinking for many years now, and I worked my ass off. My wife worked, and we sent our kids to a parochial school because 20 years ago, it was a system of terrible, and everybody knew it, even though it was half the cost. And the reason I have this job, I used to call into radio shows, and I would call in and I would yell and I would point out the stupidity of what the topic was, and people started to say, "Well, why don't you come out?" And I was invited to be a judge to listen to kids argue politics at the time, and I did not realize at the time, because I was like, "Yeah, I'll go." It was homeschooling kids that were going to argue the Electoral College topic. Okay, so now these kids come out, Dom. They're 9 years old to maybe 14, maybe. Right. And I'm watching these kids, and I'm watching them argue. And number one, they had a grasp of the issue of the Electoral College far better than any Democrat in Congress. 1,000 times better than the bartender AOC. And they're doing this, and they're doing it, and they have their little sport coat on and their tie. Now, I grew up in a rough neighborhood outside of Chicago, kind of neighborhood where you didn't really want to let on. You were smart. You might get a pencil busted over your head. So you understand, right? Very similar probably to where you were. And I thought to myself at that time, these kids have never been bullied. They have never been intimidated. They have never been made to conform to the opinion of other kids. And I thought to myself, I really do believe we've been doing education in this country completely wrong. Because only the people that love you the most can really teach you how to reason, how to think, and how to understand. Only the people that love you can do that. Now, when you were a teacher, it was different. There was a different character among the Americans in general. But when you turn a kid over at 18 to go into college, he's going to be around some very, very bad things. And if he doesn't have the security of his judgment, can he, in essence, tolerate those bad temptations and that intimidation from peers? And I think no. I think if I could do anything over again, I would have homeschooled. I don't care about the money. I would have gave up the money to do that for the kids. Now, I got lucky, and most people hopefully do get lucky when it comes to the character of their kid. But is it possible that we have been doing it exactly wrong? And the reason it's so bad in the inner city and the rest of it is they don't, at that certain point, they're told, the people are told, this is the best way. And they may have the best intentions, but you're turning your children over to Lord of the Flies. What do you think?
Well, exactly. One of the number one reasons why parents want school choice is some of what you just talked about, physical safety. I was in schools where I had a kid throw a desk at me, things of that nature. And Shaun, at the end of the day, the teacher in those kinds of environments is just hanging on. They're not advancing kids or thinking about it. So a lot of teachers are not the problem here. It's the teacher union said, the activism, the Randy Weingarten, the Becky Pringles. We saw it during COVID. COVID has helped to explode, though, parents demanding this. And the other thing I'd note is it is incredibly diverse, the people coming into charter schools, things of that nature. And what I try to do with Old School, New School, Next School is chronicle all this. My task was the head of a union that has 40,000 workers in Philadelphia, big-time Democrat, but big-time supporter of school choice. And that really, every time he comes on with me and talks about it, there's tremendous blowback.
It really, it's interesting. And you know what I reflect on in history when I was a kid, we were lucky enough to be taught by very smart people back in the 70s and 80s. And what they would do is they would expose us to the letters and the communication of people of whatever era we were discussing. So when we were talking about the Civil War, we would read the letters that are available for anybody to see between the Civil War soldiers and their family. And it was amazing to see the intellect of these kids back in the Civil War. Sometimes they were 16, 14, 15. They were actual soldiers. And they were writing about the nuances of what their thought patterns were, of what they thought they were fighting for. And it came to me, I believe that in the 19th century, in the mid 1800s, the kids were more educated than they are certainly in Chicago and probably all around the country. I think the quality of education with far less technology, nothing. They had to think and reason, far greater than today. But yet these are the people who tell us what progress is. Isn't that another part of controlling the perception of things, is to control the reality of where we are? People are dumber in 2025 than they've ever been in this country.
When I was still teaching, I just did a general test of kids who were graduating. We were in South Jersey, near the Jersey Shore, and they told me Atlantic City was touched by the Pacific Ocean. Leonardo da Vinci was a mob dude. I mean, you're graduating high school, and these are the kind of responses. And, I would tell you probably have heard, I don't know if you've heard of him, E.D. Hirsch, Hirsch, wrote the 3,000 things that any American should know. And there was tremendous blowback, too much memorization and all that. It's things like any port in a storm, Bible Belt. If you don't know those references, his point and my point is, you really can't read. You're just reading words. All these cultural references are the thing that give meaning to this and pushes your ideation forward. And I pitch E.D. Hirsch every chance I get.
Well, you know what else is fascinating? When you talked about Randy Weingarten, that's Chicago's very own. And most people don't realize she was a substitute teacher for one day, and she got a full pension. One day. She got a full teacher's pension. So when you talk about the level of corruption, my fallback is they're teaching revisionist history of not just American actual beauty and the principles of Americanism and why the country is the youngest and the richest with the highest quality of life, but they're cultivating kids to accept the political frauds that they represent. So the history books, as you know, they sign contracts with the socialists. The name is eluding me right now, with the legendary socialists from World War II who wrote all the history books and taught the kids. Howard Zinn.
Yeah.
And what he did to the education system single-handedly with cooperation of teachers union, I don't know how many generations it'll take to get rid of that. But is the best way through school choice, or is the best way through homeschool with AI?
You've opened up one of the most exciting things out there, the homeschool with AI. And I think this comes back to, and that's a great point, Shaun, it comes back to knowing your own kid. It comes back to experimentation with safety. You can try a charter school. You can try homeschooling with AI. I homeschooled one son when he was at the high school level, and it worked for him. The other son was very academically oriented. He was in a Catholic school and got scholarships, et cetera. So it depends upon your child. And this whole thing with school choice gets back to the bigger issue, which is parental rights. And I know the Chicago teachers have said they are the people that are masters of education, not the parents. That's what it always comes down to.
Well, you know what else, too, is beautiful about the perspective I'm assuming you bring to your show and what you're doing now. When I was in school, I would have clearly been diagnosed with ADHD, ADD. And the difference in what was called curious or overactive or bored That was my argument with kids when they tried to do that with my kids. My kid doesn't have a disease. The teacher sucks. So that was my answer. But the other side of the coin is you were actually practicing when kids were not on these mind-altering drugs. And that always gets left out of the argument. We have a tremendous amount of financial incentive for public schools and private to diagnose children with behavioral disorders when the reality is the teachers themselves are not reaching the intellectual needs to keep that child engaged.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and that's RFK Jr., and a lot of this comes in. I mean, there are many other layers before we get to that, but he has talked about psychoactive drugs, Ritalin, things of that nature, and I saw that play out very, very much in the last few years that I was teaching in my master's in special ed, and I saw how that road, to your point, was changed to go down that. Once that happens, then parents are really adrift. They're always trying to deal with something that has side effects and is not the right way to go. Most kids do not have any of that. Although, I might add, talk show hosts such as you and me, quirkiness is what we have, and that's a big element, I think, to help.
Well, and the funny thing is, too, you hoist the parents by their own emotion. You take advantage of the parents' not just ignorance of the situation because they're busy working, but of the love of their children, and they themselves become a conduit to turn a kid into somebody who is always on a drug, and then accepts the idea that a pill is the fix, rather than what we used to get as kids who sloughed off. Either you got sent to the principal's office, and my principal saved my life. His name's Bill Bright, fantastic man, and he would tell you, "You're going to pay attention, or I'll kick the hell out of you in the parking lot." That's how it was. But it worked. And that's the broader point, Dom. It worked. And they went away from that. And now you've got kids who become parents themselves. That's the reality, right? My generation, your parents, if not grandparents by this stage of the game. And now you're telling your kid, well, maybe they have ADHD. So that entire system needs to be knocked off track. And do you think that there are enough people in this movement, in your podcast movement, what you're going to be telling is to make the parents themselves be reluctant to turn this inquisitive kid, this empty vessel, who could be utilized in so many different ways if it wasn't for the fact that we're doping them down ourselves?
Well, it comes back to your point, which is this. If the option to the parents, be it whatever, their own homeschooling or charters or a private school, parochial school, if they don't deliver what you and I are talking about, then parents are going to move on. So their whole ethos is to deliver that, to figure out each child. And I'm talking about tough love, reaching him in that way, hitting him with something that would take a young Shaun that was interested in history, something like that, and coming up with direction. Public schools have to do that. They're the biggest monopoly in the world. They do not have to reach those kids. Their whole mission then is to just keep the ball rolling. They're not going to get paid more. Merit pay is out, except rare circumstances. So, Shaun, I agree with you. Their mission is to keep things quiet, no problems, but not to get to the heart of reaching kids.
How early? I think this is crucially important to understand why we're the youngest and the richest country with the highest quality of life. It's not about the money. It's about the principle of the Enlightenment. And when you reflect on these intellects like John Locke or Montesquieu, whoever you pick, I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands, right? You could go back to Newton, and you understand the brilliance of these people who had no access to any technology. Isn't that something you should teach kids very, very early on so they never feel helpless when they understand that we're living in a country that's a place, but more importantly, it's a concept. And all of the swindlers you will encounter in your life that tell you to be a socialist or a communist or a collectivist of any kind, they're all wrong. And if you have that knowledge from third grade, from first grade, second grade, I don't care where it is, you can't be wooed by the utopian lies of statism.
Yeah, exactly. And parents, I know better parents, they look for opportunities. You probably did this at a third or fourth grade level to say, all right, everybody's going to be equal here, even though one kid is slopping off, even though one kid did nothing. Look for opportunities. I did that with classes, various scenarios that you can set up, Shaun, to prove the point. The reason socialism works a bit, it goes away for a while, and we're seeing it in New York, and then it comes back every few years, and people think, aha, I discovered something that gives me life, the affordability, those kinds of things, and then we're off to another spasm until it fails, sometimes tragically. It goes away for a while, and then it's hot again.
Well, I love the idea that you're tackling this. I really do, because it's going to be something that is a vehicle for people to go to the podcast, old school, new school, next school. What's the best way to keep an eye on it? I mean, I know you're a radio show host. I understand that, but what's the best way for people to get this kind of knowledge and information so that they can spread it if they're thinking about homeschooling or making an argument against a fascistic public school tyranny like Illinois?
Well, I would say go to old school, new school, next school. You can email me there. I answer all parents. I'll tell you the ones that I know in the Chicago area, groups that are formed around that. And I got to say, Shaun, they got to listen to you, too. That would be my advice. This is one of the better discussions I've had in talk radio, and I hear from your producer you do it every night. So
I do. Well, thank you, Dom. And you know what's fascinating is when you see these frauds, these Democrats in Chicago, how they throw around the term Nazi. And it's almost insulting that they don't start off with what it really means. It's the National Socialist Worker Party. And they throw around fascism, which I'm half Italian. And my grandfather from the Italian side, exactly, the handsome half, how he hated Mussolini and how he had still destroyed, and the kind of devastation it leads. And you see these trust fund babies like J.B. Pritzker. Never worked a day in his life, butter hands, never even dressed himself. And he calls people who are arguing for the reestablishment of propertyism. Really, that's the problem, right? Capitalism, that's a Karl Marx word. Propertyism over your own life, your own decision. You're not obligated to anybody. And they call this man who's trying to reestablish that and enforce laws a Nazi. It's just intellectually insane, aside from the fact you're trying to invoke violence. So that really has to be tackled from an intellectual standpoint, and it has to be pointed to kids, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And even more so in a subtle way for what you and I do, the fascism stuff. I mean, that's a very fluid, nuanced term here that we're dealing with in a lot of ways. But all it means is if you support Trump vaguely or you're a conservative, now you're a fascist. The Nazi thing, not to give up on this with all the violence that's out there, to see Zach Bryan, the country star now, go down that road, go on that side, attacking ICE and the cops, to see Bad Bunny at Super Bowl. This is a constant provocation of this. But I would tell you, Pritzker is particularly annoying. You and I know the background. The dad was the ultimate capitalist.
Yeah, cross-eyed, though. The father was cross-eyed, which is why it's hard to find in a picture. He looks stupid. The other thing, Dom, you know, the throw around fascism, these are all the Democrats that took you away from your business, locked you away from your mother when she was dying, forced you to put the vaccine in your arm. They're calling people fascists. The irony is rich. It could only happen if people are miseducated, right?
And, Shaun, I would make the point, when I think of fascism versus Nazism, I think of these petty tyrants that we had during, they're not putting in people in jail, whatever, but they shut down businesses.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Jersey on national TV said you can get alcohol because alcoholics need it, but you can't go to church because of COVID. They kept the liquor stores open. On and on and on. The sheer pettiness of the oppression versus outright oppression. That's what I think of when I think of an American form of fascism.
Yeah, I just remember my grandfather celebrating Mussolini dangling from the light pole. I never understood the girlfriend, though. The poor thing, she was just trying to make him happy. Dom Giordano, thank you so much, really, for making time for me. Anytime you need anything, you have an open door here, okay?
Well, same with me, Shaun. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
Marxists, socialists, and communists are not welcome on the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
It's hard to find a nursing home where Christ-centered care is provided. For over 130 years, Lutheran Life has served the needs of seniors at the Lutheran Home in Arlington Heights. With chaplains on full-time duty, the Lutheran Home provides spiritual support as your loved ones confront the hard realities of aging. Our nurses will care for your bodies, and our chaplains will care for your souls. Find out how by visiting LutheranLifeCommunities.org today. That's LutheranLifeCommunities.org.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings, engineered to protect, finished to impress.
You've heard me talk about Northridge for years, but now I want you to hear from one of their recent graduates, TJ Gorman, who just graduated second in his class in Marine Corps basic training. This is what he said. I was blessed to attend Northridge not only for the education, but for the values and principles my mentors instilled within me. The school taught us what it meant to be a leader and lead through example, hard work, humility, and empathy. I thank God for Northridge. That's what makes Northridge Prep great for young men. The students are called to excellence to become true leaders. And these boys want to go to school each day. They love Northridge because they can be free to learn, to grow, and to be challenged. There's a real spirit of adventure on campus that you've just got to experience for yourself. For nearly 50 years, they've partnered with parents like no other school in the Chicagoland area. Today, in our nation, we need more Northridge graduates to lead the way as men of intellect and character who love God. Guys like TJ Gorman, men who put their values first. Their open house is Sunday, October 19th at 1 p.m. for boys in grades 6 through 12. Register at northridgeprep.org. northridgeprep.org.
We were talking about real estate earlier, and somebody in the Rumble chat said, these real estate people, they tell you to buy real estate in Chicago. I would never tell you to buy anything where Democrats are, but you should buy real estate in a well-run area. You should buy anything because the dollar you use is losing money by the millisecond. Stock market isn't rallying. Your dollar's losing its buying power. Stocks are just the currency of those companies. So if you need to strategically understand what sector of the economy is going to grow, can grow to the best, it's Alpha Wealth Group and Tom Fortino. When you talk about gold, precious metals, 4,000, it's insane. But you're better off investing in something, silver, gold, I don't care what it is, because the dollar is what's losing money. If you store those dollars, all they're going to do is lose value, buying power, and you're going to pay more and more taxes. If you don't strategically hold your assets exactly right, not just an illegal alien who has a kilo of fentanyl under their purse last week is going to get your money, but the government is going to pay off the way they destroy our dollar. That's what you need to do. Navigate a troubled economy, avoid the potholes, and structure your assets so your children get them at the time of your death, which nobody gets out alive. Me, you, and everybody. But you want your kids and your family to get the money? Call 630-864-6711. That number again, 630-864-6711. And online at alphawealthgroup.com. All you have to do is tell the people if you call 630-864-6711 or if you go on alphawealthgroup.com. Schedule a no-obligation consultation. so you understand the kind of people you're dealing with, who understand what's at risk. And don't forget Saturday mornings right here, AM 560, The Answer, 9 a.m., the Alpha Wealth Group Hour. When we get back, Denise will be first, then Nell, all happening after news.
We're at 59 degrees in Chicago, the AM 560 newsroom on AM 560 The Answer. National Guard troops positioned near Chicago under President Trump's federal crackdown on crime. They arrived at an Army Reserve Center in Elwood. This after 300 members were federalized by the president over the weekend. The Trump administration is eyeing other Democrat-run cities to deploy guardsmen. That includes Memphis. Local authorities say that city could see its own troops by Friday. The Texas National Guard in Chicago, and they're awaiting their orders. The Pentagon says their mission is to protect federal personnel and property amid recent anti-immigration clashes outside of the Broadview ICE facility. Local lawmakers continue to push back on their efforts. That's prompted a response from Border Czar Tom Homan.
We're there to make this city safer. And you think Governor Pritzker and the Mayor Johnson, their number one responsibility is protection of communities. Remove public safety threats from the public. We're there to do that, and we're not going to stop doing it.
Police are searching for suspects after several car windows were smashed on the south side. 20 vehicles were damaged early yesterday morning near East 132nd Street and South Carondelet Avenue. At least 3 people were caught on surveillance video vandalizing the cars. More officers will be patrolling the area. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants? Get 100% of your smile back with the Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP. It's possible. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. More news coming your way at 7 o'clock. Continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Let's head now to the traffic center and get a check of the road with Jill Urchat.
The Kennedy downtown to O'Hare, 35 minutes with an accident at Cumberland. Also an accident inbound Eisenhower at First, 50 minutes in from 390 into the post office. Outbound trip 45. Northbound I-55, watch out for a stall at Route 47 on the right shoulder. Stevenson, a 35-minute ride out to 355. And the Dan Ryan, 18 minutes downtown to 95th. Express are getting better. It's still tight though. Garfield to Marquette. DuSable Lakeshore Drive showing scattered delays either way, but much improvement. Same for the Tri-State and southbound 355, slowing Butterfield to Ogden. This report is sponsored by Audible. Stuck in traffic? Audible's romance collection will have you falling fast in the slow lane. Satisfy every side of you with best-selling modern rom-coms, the hottest romantasy series, and anticipated new releases. Start listening free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com. From the AM 560 The Answer Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchat.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, expect clear skies with a low of 48. Tomorrow, abundant sunshine will prevail with a high of 65. Tomorrow night will be mainly clear with a low of 47. On Friday, anticipate some sun followed by increasing cloudiness, reaching a high of 68. Saturday is set to bring plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Shaun Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Nauman and Associates, Scott Tucker Solutions Incorporated, and by Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
What makes Hasselus mattress different?
Aside from employee-free showrooms, free next-day delivery, and prices that are way too low?
Yeah, besides that.
Hasselus Mattress is locally owned and managed by the same family.
So,
your money stays right here. And through Monday, you'll get a $248 credit towards a new Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and Serta Perfect Sleeper just for shopping local.
Thanks.
For what?
For being different.
Find a no-hassle, employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. A major U.S. ally dedicated to religious pluralism and social and civil rights like few others was victim to one of the most major and gruesome terrorist attacks recorded. That attack came from a movement of bloodlust and an ideology mortally opposed to social and civil rights. On the 2-year commemoration of that attack, college students and adults alike protested on behalf of the terrorist movement. The ally, Israel. The terrorists, Hamas. And from campuses to the streets, massive rallies using Hamas insignia and propaganda marched for Hamas. Only 2 years after the slaughter of innocents, where over 50 Americans were killed and taken hostage, it's difficult to understand such sympathy for the devil on our campuses and in major cities. But then again, 2 years ago, a major poll showed 30% of Gen Z thought Osama bin Laden was a force for good. Treating any of this as an education issue is wrong. Such sympathies for the demonic are not education problems. They reveal a massive moral crisis.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
I knew when I was talking to Dom, at least somebody would call about a Philly story. And sure enough, we got Denise. Denise, how are you?
That's right. I am good. I love hearing his Philly accent. And I'm born and raised in Philly. I went to Catholic school there. And I'll tell you what, there was no tolerance for any learning disabilities. You learned or you were in trouble with those nuns. And the good thing was, I learned through my Catholic education in Philly that there were nuns who cared about me. And they said, okay, maybe you're not doing as well in math and science and some of those things, but here's where you excel, art, music. And they helped me in those areas, which then helped me in the others. But when I think about what Philly was like under Frank Rizzo, there was none of this. He would have never tolerated what Mayor Johnson, who does everything on a objective feeling, a subjective feeling basis instead of objective truth, which he doesn't know the difference of.
No.
And
objective truth.
All this, there is no objective to him. He's strictly Johnson and Pritzker are objective or subjective. They base it on the feelings and how much they hate Trump. They never base it on the fact that there's people who need our help in this city and are begging for it. And then the cops standing down. What a disgrace.
Denise, here's the other thing. When you detach yourself from the reality of outcome, which is objective truth, once you do that, you can perpetrate immense evils and, in the meantime, control immense power. And that the great people are looking with their own eyes. Here is a guy, and I say this, and it sounds like I'm just being flippant, but the truth of the matter is, never really worked or succeeded. He was on the payment plan for his water bill. Yep. He stands there before you in a $6,000 Brioni suit. That's, by the way, that's the minimum. Just look it up. $6,000 and spends $34,000 on his hairdo. He has a gift room. He has his wife on a ghost payroll with an $80,000 budget. These are numbers that I'm talking about that 99% of these Chicago citizens can never do for themselves. And rather than be repulsed and offended by what he truly represents, which is a swindle, they admire it. And that's the character of the people. And that's what we're really dealing with. When you are not demanding objective truth, I don't want to hear a fracking word from you. Show me. That's why when I talk about the real cost of corruption of real estate, which is 99% of people, that's your main sense of wealth. And they don't care. Then it's game over. Then it's game over, Denise. And it's a sad reality. But thank you for reminding us of a much better time.
Are you aware of what he's doing down there in Kankakee?
Not specifically.
The Chinese plant?
Yeah. Goshen.
That's another story. That is unbelievable what they're doing to the people in Kankakee.
Well, and the funny thing is,
start covering that.
They can't do it without the government spending. See, because Chicago can't afford, Illinois can't afford, Illinois is bankrupt. It's all a frickin' lie. The only way it exists is if the government goes back on and they get the splash fund of phony COVID money. That's what they're relying on. That's what this entire swindle is about. And here it is, the American people, not just the Illinoisans, paying the Chinese communist for an obsolete battery factory that doesn't need to exist. It's a crime.
They lied and said it was for EV batteries, but it's for these high-powered AI batteries, which is going to pollute their water, it's unbelievable what he's getting away with down there in Kankakee, and nobody's covering it. I hope you do, Sean.
Thank you so much. We absolutely will. This is one of my favorites. Nell, how are you, Nell?
Yes. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Wonderful. Better now.
Okay, then. Hey, Sean, I just want to say thank you so much again for allowing us to have our voices, that our voices can be connected around the nation. And you're doing an excellent job. I just want to say I thank God for your boldness, your courage, because you are an inspiration to thousands, okay?
Thank you.
I just want to say that because you keep us abreast as to what's happening when we may be busy doing other things. And just to tune in, I love what you're doing. And I pray for you all the time because I know you're a warrior and you're out front, okay?
Thank you.
So I wanted to say that, but I want to also say this. I thank God for your honey that, she sounds so sweet. And
yeah, don't get her mad.
I just wanted to say,
don't get her mad. That's why the female lions do the hunting. Don't get her mad, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, we females, we can understand that, okay? But I just wanted to say that. But the reason why I'm calling is this, because God deals with me in so many different ways. And one of them, he gives me profound dreams. And I cannot shake this. And I'm just saying this because hopefully somebody can get the message out there, because the dream that I had is because of the corruption that's going on. The people, they are panicking now, and they're about to do anything trying to escalate what their plans are, because they never expected it to spread the way it's spreading as fast as it's spreading. And I had this dream the other night in regards to what they're trying to do. They're trying to get to Dan Bongino. And what they're trying to do is trying to instill fear in two individuals, even the more so, especially in the law enforcement. And I just know within my heart that Dan needs more security. And if
Dan's a tough guy. Dan's a tough man.
Is.
I met him,
He is.
but you're right. You got to look out, right? Because this isn't the old days. These aren't people of character that want to fist fight or beat you up. These are guys that want to shoot you from a mile away. And, Dan's got a problem. He's got an incredibly large head. So Dan does need a lot of help. We need some makeup artists. But Dan is a smart guy, and they're on to the scum and the scallywags. But it's interesting now. I have a friend who is very intimate with the family of Paul Ivory, who is the kid that was arrested at the protest in Broadview. This is a kid who's mentally handicapped. His brother is mentally handicapped. They're handsome kids. You would never know until you start to talk to them that there's something wrong. They have been weaponized by Democrats. He works specifically. You notice how you don't hear about this case anymore in the news. He works specifically for Oak Park River Forest High School. And he walked 5 miles because under his impression, he was told he was going to support police and military. So you've got the weaponized mentally ill, you've got the paid protesters, and you've got the people who gain their sustenance. Their very life itself is provided by government spending and welfare and corruption. And it is a dangerous climate for people who are trying to change that. But here's the thing, now, and I appreciate how you said you pray for things I say and different things. It's more important. You have one life. Nobody gets out of this thing alive. You know that now. We all die. But when you live, did you mean anything? Did you do anything? Right? And that's why, to me, the people that go along with the corruption that has destroyed the quality of life for all of us, I don't care what money you get, what pension you have, what house you bought. You're bankrupt intellectually. Your character is worth nothing. You're worth nothing. Like the drug dealing gangbangers. You're not really worth anything. You're just the scourge. So it has to be said, and it has to be changed. And if people are always going to die and wars are always going to be fought, but the philosophy of what the American Democrat is is violence itself. It exists on financial fraud and taking of people, from people. So I think it's worth it now, and so do all these people. And if we got good people like you praying, that's all we need now. Thanks for the call. I'm against the clock. I appreciate it. You know I love you. We'll be back after this.
He's Shaun Thompson.
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
And this is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
As the seasons change, so does the worry. The flu, cold, and COVID season is coming, making a lot of people feel anxious. But what if you don't have to feel that way? My name is Dr. Michael Huber, one of the developers of Virago, the liquid immune enhancement cocktail. Virago was formulated in a liquid to enhance absorption and provide a rapid response. Comprised of 23 natural ingredients chosen for their synergistic properties, it gives your immune system the boost it needs to fight whatever virus is out there. So with the Virago Boost, you can face the coming flu season feeling confident that you are protected. With Virago, you're not fighting the seasons, you're ready for them. Virago, power to defend. Maha starts with Virago.
Order your bottle of Virago online today. Visit myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. That's myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE. Virago and Maha. Making America healthy again.
Perhaps you're a collector. Or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Shaun Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Of course, they're willing to perpetrate violence, but what the Democrat mafia, with the socialists and the Marxists in this country and others don't understand, you don't make anybody nervous. Nobody's afraid. What you do is you inspire us. So keep it up, scumbags.
Well, we are learning more about the suspect that was arrested outside a D.C. cathedral ahead of a mass marking the start of the Supreme Court's new term.
Police are revealing he had a massive supply of homemade explosives.
Bizarre guy Griff Jenkins joins us live outside.
What was this, Lenny, from Of Mice and Men? What was this mental deficiency problem? He didn't want his subsidies to be shut off. 200 explosives in his homeless encampment tent. He didn't want his hair on to be shut off. That's why he was willing to blow up people.
Washington with the details. Hey, Griff.
Yeah, good morning, Brian, Ainsley, and Lawrence. What's really frightening about this is that Supreme Court justices were expected to attend this annual Red Mass, which marked the start of a new Supreme Court term and honored the judiciary. A 41-year-old South Jersey man named Louis Jerry arrested on the cathedral's
Kamala Harris voter. I think that you could have stopped with that. And by the way, men don't say frightening. Not frightening. Aggravating. Make you want to nail him to a tree. In the meantime, who is actually protesting? Another case of Cam Higbee exposing a mental deficient he recognized.
What's going on out here?
Right now we're just organizing stuff, getting ready
ready for tomorrow.
What's going on tomorrow?
More of the protesting.
Well, what does the protest entail?
We're trying to get ICE to leave and stuff because they're just starting all kinds of issues.
And so I have a question for you. I know you.
Yeah.
From Seattle. What are you doing in Chicago? How'd you get out here?
Wait, I recognize you.
Yeah.
Tell me about the rabbits, George. How'd you get out here? Mafia pay. Attached absolutely to not just an NGO, but a Democrat oligarch. I really appreciate you listening. The fastest show on radio. We're up against the clock on Airtight Pants. Squirrel Hands will be back tomorrow, and so will we. 21 hours. Sorry I went long. We'll be back tomorrow.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property.